good morning. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. That would make me Glenn Clark. That would make him Griffin Bass, and you have only 40 more minutes to enjoy the sexiness of Griffin Bass on Twitter before it goes away. It's gone.
So you gotta get it while you can.
Get it before it's gone. Like there's no. I'm not saving it for another day.
You're not allowed to screenshot it.
Nope. No, it's illegal. In fact, we will sue you if we find out later that you did that.
Exactly.
This is the way it goes. Speak now or forever wonder just how sexy Griffin is. So go take a look at it right now. It's pinned at the top of the page. So go do that right now because it's 10:42. It's gone forever. That's the way that it works. All right, coming up on the program today, in just a few minutes, in fact, Eric Zeier, Georgia football color analyst, former Ravens quarterback. We will find out about the new Ravens offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. A little bit later on this hour, Julian Reese, Juju, Baltimore native, Maryland center, is going to check in with us. They got a huge game against Purdue tomorrow night. Drew Forrester is going to stop by in a little bit, and also coming up this morning, Rob Vaughn, Maryland baseball coach, will join us to preview the start of their season this weekend. So that is all on the way here on a Wednesday edition of the program. Today's show is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Did you grab the logs by chance?
No, I did not.
It would be helpful. It would be helpful. I'm not going to lie. I've got the Would You Rather Wednesday scenarios up on Facebook. We'll get them up on Twitter here in a bit. I feel like I shouldn't be surprised. And I was doing this yesterday in my best way to not come off smarmy because I understand that's the way that this works. Like, it always comes off smarmy. I tweeted something yesterday that was sort of a follow-up of the conversation that I was having on the show. And I'm going to defend you guys for a second, and then I'm going to clobber you. Like, that's the way it's going to go. I'm first going to build you up, and then I'm going to tear you down. That's all that I'm going to do here. I had fun with it. I shared a picture of Brian Windhorst from ESPN doing his What's Going On in Utah bit. And I said, what I can't shake, well, I think Todd Monken is a good hire, is that they didn't have to wait this long to hire Todd Monken. So why did they? What happened? And does it tell us anything about Lamar Jackson? Not trying to be full tinfoil hat, but just wonder. And, of course, those of you that were listening to yesterday's show know exactly what I was talking about because we were having this conversation. Now, understandably, sadly, for them, not everyone listens to the show every day. And so I understand that for those of you, oh man, it's taking you everything to not. Those of you might read that and say, is this guy stupid? They were going to talk to Brian Johnson. They wanted to talk to Eric Bieniemy. That's why I didn't hire him 2 weeks ago. And I get there are a lot of really stupid people on Twitter. So I get it. Now's the part where I end up chastising you. This is the thing where we think we know something. This is what Twitter has become. And it's not just me, it's everyone. Literally, try to get an example of this. A baseball player could say today that he's signing in Oakland, and there will be somebody in the replies saying, who's your source? We have created, this is the world that Elon Musk wants, we've created a world where there are no one actually matters any longer. We all think we're just as smart and we know exactly as much as everybody else. And in some cases, we do. In a lot of cases, we don't. I need you guys to know, of course, I know that it has something to do with Brian Johnson and or Eric Bieniemy. The part that we're not good at in Twitter is the part where it requires forward thinking. And I ended up engaging with a lot of people on this topic yesterday. At some point, I had to give up because it was just too much. This tweet just got out of hand. Which is right. Now, what happened there? The Brian Johnson thing, as I said yesterday, is obvious. The other part is not obvious. No one has that answer. No matter how smart you want to feel, you don't know why it is that Eric Bieniemy, who, again, as of midweek last week, was, according to Adam Schefter, not a fly-by-night reporter, someone who literally vets everything he says through the team, so much so that he once called Washington President Bruce Allen Mr. Editor, said that Eric Bieniemy was, quote, a prime candidate, unquote, for offensive coordinator in Baltimore. So what happened? And again, when I ask the question, I'm not telling you I know something. I wonder what happened. And the answer could be anything. As I pointed out yesterday, the answer could be that Eric Bieniemy was promised by the Chiefs that he could become head coach in waiting. And so he decided, then I don't want to leave. He decided, well, if it's not, I thought maybe I wanted to get out from the shadow of Andy Reid, but honest to God, I've changed my mind. There's a million things that could have occurred. And they might have nothing to do with Lamar Jackson and his future. Zero. But I don't know that, and neither do you. And that's the reason why I asked the question. Now, to wit, it's not as important as whether or not the Ravens ultimately made a good hire. The Eric Bieniemy side of it, really does end today. I mean, I'm interested, or it ends once we know about Lamar Jackson's future, I guess. It's only relevant if it's in some way tied to Lamar Jackson. If it's not, well then, who the hell cares? He's not the guy. Life goes on. And even if Eric Bieniemy, let's say they fumbled the bag somehow on Eric Bieniemy, all that matters is Todd Monken a good hire or not? Because that's the guy they have. To be abundantly clear, this was a fun little silly tweet, as you could tell by me doing the Brian Windhorst finger pointing.
Now, that obviously means you know something.
Yes, obviously that means I've got some sort of, for God's sakes, it's a fun little tweet. But yes, the question ultimately is Todd Monken a good hire? I don't know the answer to that question. I'm intrigued by Todd Monken. I like things that I've heard so far about Todd Monken. But I can't possibly know that. And neither, of course, can anyone else. I'm looking forward to learning more about Todd Monken. There are certain things that interest me. But make no mistake, so much of this question is, okay, so it's Todd Monken. Now what? Todd Monken with who? And I said that to you guys 3 weeks ago when we started this conversation. Like, it's difficult to talk about the offensive coordinator because I need to know who the quarterback is. I like Todd Monken, but if Todd Monken is lining up next year with Derek Carr, I don't think it's going to matter. At all. I mean, could they win a playoff game? I guess maybe. I don't know. Sure, they could probably do that. But can they compete with the Chiefs? To me, not a chance in hell. So, yes, Todd Monken's the offensive coordinator, and we will get to know more about him. In fact, in 1 minute here, we're going to talk to Eric Zeier about him. But that's the difficult part of the conversation. The difficult part of the conversation is, great, you've got an offensive coordinator. Now, about the real problem. About the actual thing that's going to determine your franchise's success moving forward. About the thing that actually matters. Can we address that? Sounds good. The guy that's well thought of, guy that appears to be, adaptable. Is that the correct version of that word? Adaptable? That's all good things. Like it. But it don't matter if you don't have a quarterback. Who's your quarterback? How's that playing out? Because then I feel like I'm going to be able to have more of a conversation about what this looks like. Or be more interested in what this looks like. Because an equation with Todd Monken and no quarterback, just a placeholder, man. Just a dude. Go have fun, but there's going to be a limit to what it is that you're capable of accomplishing. With that in mind, let's find out about Todd Monken. Had to do this a little bit earlier on because of his schedule. He's a busy man, but an opportunity to catch up with former Ravens quarterback Eric Zeier, who is the football color analyst at the University of Georgia, his alma mater. And he's going to tell us about the new Ravens offense coordinator right now. Well, of course, yesterday the Baltimore Ravens announced they have a new offensive coordinator. His name is Todd Monken, and he has spent the last 3 seasons at Georgia, where our next guest got to know him. Man, it's awesome to bring this guy back in so quickly after we talked to him for the national championship. He is former Ravens quarterback and Georgia football color analyst Eric Zeier, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Eric, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to catch up again. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Listen, my pleasure. It's always great to be on with you.
Hey, man, we are, I think, pretty fired up. I think for the most part, Ravens fans are excited about Todd Monken, but I'll just put it to you. How excited should we be about Todd Monken as their new offensive coordinator?
You should be extremely excited. I'll tell you, Coach Monken, in the time that he was at the University of Georgia, it really just week in and week out, I think first and foremost, is a great leader and has the ability really to influence and get the most out of anybody that he coaches on every front. So that his leadership style, he is a player's coach. He really does a good job relating with everybody. That is one of the things that I think you have to have as a head coach. But when you look at his ability to create game plans and create offenses that really fit the skill sets of his players and the talent that he has, he's as good as anybody in the country. And you just take a look at his time at Georgia with the talent that came in and how he evolved his game plan to fit that talent. It's pretty remarkable to see, and that will translate to any level or anywhere that he ever coaches. So I expect for him to come into Baltimore and do a great job, no different than he did at the University of Georgia.
Well, we like the sounds of that. Let's talk schematically. What should we expect from a Todd Monken offense?
Well, I think a lot of that's going to depend on the personnel.
Okay.
But he's a coordinator and a coach scheme-wise that is going to want to be able to go run the football. He likes a lot of play action and does a great job with that. But again, it goes back. He's able to evolve his offensive schemes around his talent. But I think that if he had a blank canvas and he could create a scenario where he could go run the football and then play action off of that through multiple formations and create the matchups that he wants on the field, that's what he's going to go do.
Eric, you, of course, know that the Ravens, maybe not going all the way back to when you were here, but in more recent years, really adapted to the idea of AFC North football, right? To your point, running the ball, wanting to win in Baltimore and Pittsburgh and Cleveland and Cincinnati in December and January. It sounds like that type of marriage where there can be, an evolution of the passing game where it can take a step forward from what it was with Greg Roman here and being somebody who wanted to run basically on every down, but that's still based in the idea of that sort of strong AFC North style.
There's no question about it. I think a lot of people hear that, well, I want to establish the run, I want to establish play action. It's kind of an old school offense where you're not aggressive in your play calling. That doesn't have to be the case. If you come back and just watch his tape at the University of Georgia, we were as explosive as anybody in the country, but there was a focus and intentionality around running the football so you could be balanced. But it is Coach Monken wants to put the football in the air. He takes shots. He gets aggressive with his shot plays off of play action. So just because he wants to run the football and find some balance doesn't mean that he doesn't have the ability or the mindset to be super aggressive in the passing game, because that's exactly what he was able to go do with the University of Georgia. Granted, some great talent at the tight end position.
Sure.
Had very solid talent outside at receiver. But he is going to get aggressive at throwing the football downfield if he can.
Do we assume, a lot was made about the idea that he used a lot of 2 tight end sets. And, of course, as you know, the Ravens have loved tight ends basically since they've existed as an organization. Do you assume that he'd bring a lot of double tight end with him to the Baltimore Ravens?
But if he's got the capability, he's got the talent at that position, absolutely. Coach Monken is one of the best that I have seen at creating matchups that he wants to have and then attacking those matchups on a pretty consistent basis. And when you've got tight ends that have got the ability to move around in formations and create matchup problems, he is an expert at doing that. So absolutely, if that talent is there, then I would expect that. But the one thing really to keep in mind with Coach Monken is he will evaluate the talent that he has, and he will put those guys in positions to succeed as well as any coordinator that you could find.
He is Eric Zeier, former Ravens quarterback, Georgia football color analyst. He's with us here on GCR as we discuss the Ravens' new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. Eric, to your point, I remember reading something, I think in Yahoo at one point, about how like his philosophy is really have good football players, right?
That's right.
I would think that he would be excited about the opportunity to perhaps work with a Lamar Jackson. I know he's a far different. We still don't know for sure how it's going to play out with Lamar Jackson here in Baltimore. We know he's far different, of course, than Stetson Bennett or even, a Jameis Winston that he had in Tampa. But what do you envision, given Lamar's skill set, do you envision that it would make sense, that it would be a good fit with Todd Monken and what he wants to do?
I do. Listen, I think Lamar Jackson is one of the most gifted quarterbacks this game has seen. His ability to run the football and hurt you with his legs. He can spin it as well as anybody, and he can just hurt you in so many ways. I really think that match, right? If it works out that way between Coach Monken and Lamar Jackson, is a match made in heaven, because that is what. One of the things that we talked about a lot under Coach Monken is that we really don't have our identity is really our adaptability, right? As he was here, the offensive coordinator, that we would go into any given game, and it was almost like you were seeing a brand new offense. That's the kind of job that he does when he steps onto a field. The game plans that he has, it's where do I have talent? Where do they have weaknesses? And I'm going to adapt my individual game plan specifically for today. And he does that so well. I think where coaches get trapped a little bit is when they have this identity that they want to go into every single game and just hammer that identity home. Coach Monken doesn't get caught up in that. He gets caught up in winning football games, putting his players in the best spot to succeed, and understanding where opposing defenses have weaknesses, and then he just goes and attacks that. So his ability to adapt and then kind of taking that back to a Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson can hurt you in so many different ways. I would expect him to be used in a variety of ways based on the defenses that you play.
When the belief was that the Ravens were in the mix for Eric Bieniemy, there was a lot made from some of my friends in Kansas City about how Eric Bieniemy is kind of a hard-nosed type of coach. Like, he's going to get in your face, he's going to challenge you. As far as relationships are concerned, and style, not scheme, but just style of coaching, what should we expect from Todd Monken?
I would probably lean towards more what you heard about Eric Bieniemy.
Okay.
That he is going to go in and get the most out of his players, and he has an uncanny way of doing that. And I will say, I think any great coach does that. Any great coach is going to really hold you as an individual player accountable to being at your very best. But then where Coach Monken is really, really good is understanding what inspires you to be great. What's your why? What drives you every single day? And he's able to go leverage those things in a very loving and caring way to get you to that point where you are at your best every single day, every single game. But he'll hold you accountable at the same time and be in your face to get you at your very best.
Was he popular among the players at Georgia?
He was. Yeah. Absolutely. I had a chance a couple of years ago to sit in a number of his quarterback meetings, and he takes a lot of time and a lot of care of really understanding who his players are, what motivates them, what inspires them, and how to get them at their very best. And when it's all said and done, that's what every player wants. They want a coach that loves and cares for them and gets them to the point that they couldn't get on their own. And Coach Monken has done that through the course of his career.
Just another minute or two here with Eric Zeier, former Ravens quarterback, Georgia football color analyst. Eric, would you be at all surprised? And I want to make this abundantly clear to Ravens fans. I'm not suggesting this would be like as a replacement for Lamar Jackson, but would you be at all surprised now if at like some point in the third or the fourth round of the NFL draft, the Ravens did take a flyer on a Stetson Bennett to follow up and just say, hey, man, it couldn't hurt.
I don't know. I think, again, I'll go back to where I think Lamar Jackson is he's one of the most talented quarterbacks, and I've never met Lamar. I've just watched him as a fan from afar. I think he's one of the most talented quarterbacks that the game has seen. If an opportunity presents itself to pull somebody like a Stetson Bennett in, I also think very highly of Stetson. He's still, as he makes his evolution into the next level, there's still going to be a lot to learn, and he has tremendous grit. He has tremendous determination. He's got great ball skills as well. He's not at a level as a Lamar Jackson today.
No. Yeah.
But to be able to go fortify a roster with somebody like a Stetson Bennett, that wouldn't surprise me a bit.
Yeah, look, we saw the Ravens had to play 6 games the backup quarterback this year, right? Like
That's right.
You never want
Absolutely.
to be in that situation, but obviously we know that these things tend to happen. And then really, I guess before I let you go, the importance of the one thing that seems to be missing in the Ravens offense still is a top-notch wide receiver. And, we don't know if they're going to be able to be in the market, for cap reasons, particularly if they have to use the franchise tag on Lamar Jackson for one of those guys. Do you feel like Todd Monken can make this work, knowing how difficult, you saw what the Chiefs did the other night, and
Sure.
my God, how many good quarterbacks there are in the AFC. Can he make this work even if he doesn't have that, DeAndre Hopkins type here in Baltimore?
He can. He can. Listen, you've got to have great players in order to be great as a football coach. But what Coach Monken does is he can take his great players and put them in positions to win, and allows other players that may not be elite at any given position. If he has enough weapons to work with, he can scheme around somebody's perceived weaknesses to get the absolute most out of them. He has done it through the course of his career, and he can do it in Baltimore as well.
I love the sounds of it. Eric Zeier, this is what a treat. I know I told you before, I was a huge Eric Zeier fan as a kid. So may there be about 4 more excuses for me to give you a call over the course of the next year and chat with you.
I am all in. I love being on, so I appreciate you having me. And you've got a good one in Coach Monken. So I'll be watching from down here in Atlanta as we start getting into next year.
That's Eric Zeier, of course, former Ravens quarterback and Georgia football color analyst. Obviously thinks very highly, not surprisingly, of the Ravens' new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. I like the sounds of it, right? Like, you guys still go do it. That's the reality. I hear the same thing you hear, Griffin. It's something related to a chord somewhere, and I don't know what it is, but we'll have to deal with it. Like, that will have to be an assignment for at some point later on today. We probably just need all new chords. I don't know what it is, but we'll deal with it at some point. Look, all sounds good. All sounds really good, in fact. But as I keep saying, it matters as much to me as who's the quarterback. I hate to be so dismissive because it's significant, right? Like, it is significant to have a new offensive coordinator. It is worthy of all of this conversation. But in this particular instance, it's exactly as valuable as who's the quarterback going to be that he's working with. Hypothetically, presuming it's Lamar Jackson, even if it's just Lamar Jackson for 1 year, what you like hearing is that adaptability, that you say, look, there's things that I'd like to do, but I'm willing to kind of mix it up a little bit. I'm willing to do the things that fit the players that I have on the field. This guy came in a little bit early. You think we can talk to Juju about whether or not he could go a little bit later on in the show?
We probably could, yeah.
All right, that's fine.
I'll call him up.
See, maybe like 11:30 would work for Juju. All right, it's probably about when this guy's got to get out of here. Juju Reese, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He plays basketball at the University of Maryland.
Yeah. Foul a minute, Juju.
Is that what you're going with?
What's his nickname?
No, I don't think so.
Down at College Park.
I don't think that's what they're calling him.
Foul a minute.
How'd he do against Zach Edey a couple weeks ago? Did quite well, in fact. I don't know. This is where I am. I'm in this weird place. Drew Forrester is here because we didn't change the locks this week.
I got a contract. I might as well show up.
Yeah, right. You got a contract.
Guaranteed, too.
It's fully?
Yep.
Did you get a fully guaranteed deal?
I did.
I thought you were opposed to those.
I told Cole, except for me.
Except for you.
Yep.
Right. For you, it's okay. It's one of those do as I say, not as I do type
Colson
of
said, what's it going to take? I said, guaranteed deal.
Fully guaranteed deal.
He's like, well, Glenn doesn't have one of those. I'm like,
I sure as hell don't.
I'm
being honest with you. I'm not sure I have a deal any longer.
I said, and he shouldn't.
Right. Correct. Always.
No offense, though.
No, of course not. It's always good to see you. I'm in this weird place.
Write on something.
What? We have to give him drugs before he comes in here. We have to have a rule. All right. Like, you know how some places they pee test people to see if they're on drugs.
I'm gonna get him paper.
No. Listen to me.
Okay.
He has to be pee tested to make sure he's on drugs when he comes in here. All right. That's going to be the rule moving forward. When he walks in that door, you hand him the cup.
That's what they do in the NBA.
And you make sure.
That's what they do in the NBA. They test you and they come back and they go, I got bad news for you.
Yeah, correct. You can't play.
You didn't test positive for weed.
Right.
You're like,
out.
right? And
You're
they're like,
out.
then you can't play.
100%. 100%. No, I need you to make sure. Just make sure.
I'm good. I just got something on my mind that I got to deal
yeah?
with.
What do you have on your mind?
No, it's Coward Hall stuff.
Okay.
Coward Hall
I'm in a strange place discussing Todd Monken.
Okay.
Because I get it.
Are you in favor? Not in favor?
I think I'm in favor. Like
I'm the same way.
I think
you and I
am.
I can't believe we're going to do this
right?
today. We're not going to argue about it.
Well, I don't think there's anything to argue about Todd Monken. Like, I think I'm in favor of Todd Monken. I would like to know what happened with Eric Bieniemy. Like, I'd like to get that answer, but it doesn't really matter all that much.
But haven't you figured that out? I mean, by now.
What do you mean?
With Bieniemy.
What do you mean with Bieniemy? How does somebody go from being a prime candidate 6 days ago?
But wouldn't you suggest something's wrong and it's not what?
But they would know that. He wouldn't have been a prime candidate if the problem is Eric Bieniemy, right? They didn't learn that.
But don't you
2
learn
days
that
ago
when you interview him and speak with him? Like, I think there's a difference.
You think the guy that's interviewed for like 50 jobs
hasn't been hired for one of them.
I understand that,
right.
But you think that guy, you don't know all of those things. You have to wait to talk to him.
I don't know if you do. I don't know.
To find that out.
I do think you.
I think that's a reach.
I think so.
I think it's a reach to suggest.
I don't think it is at all. I think a lot of teams passed on that wide receiver from the Steelers took because the word was he's a moron. The Steelers took him. Like, people.
Well, okay.
This is going to sound dumb. Can you open that up for me?
In a minute, I'll do that.
I feel weird with that.
Well, the problem is during
closed.
the day the sun comes out and then it's blinding you. Like the way. So I will do that in a minute. It's
if
not
you
going to
would.
be my concern.
It just makes me feel odd.
You're going to have to paint this out, right? You're going to have to portray.
Well, what do you think it is? Why do you think no one's hired him?
I don't know. That's the reason. This is the point. I'm asking the question, and I did this yesterday, and everybody kept saying, like, you're suggesting there's a controversy. No, I'm not. I want to know the answer. I want to know what happened.
Glenn Clark wants answers.
I do. I want to know how someone goes from, again, Adam Schefter doesn't say stuff because he's you or I, right? Like, literally, the teams edit Adam Schefter. He's not a reporter anymore. He is a go-between. The teams tell him things. It's the reason why he called Bruce Allen Mr. Editor in a email that we found out about years ago, or just recently, I guess maybe a year ago. Adam Schefter says he's a prime candidate for the job. The belief that the Ravens finally got to talk to Eric Bieniemy, on Monday, and said, man, sure, we had heard plenty of things, but now we know he can't be the guy. When he was a prime candidate for the job a week ago, that doesn't hold water to me. Like, it doesn't work. Okay. Again, I don't know what the answer is. It might very well be that they just made a decision on Monday, that they said, man, we really like him, but we just really like this guy better. There could be an easy solution. I just like to know. It's what I keep coming back to. I just like to know. But on the Todd Monken thing, I don't know how to talk about Todd Monken because I don't know who the quarterback is going to be.
Oh, that's what I said. I wrote that this morning. And this is what I would say about Monken in particular. I would assume, and you and I talked about this last week, anyone who called in about that job, that was the second question they probably asked. First question is, what's it pay, and how long is my deal? Second question is, who's the quarterback? I would assume anyone with an established job of some sort, that was their second question. Who's going to be the quarterback, right? Monken is the one guy that maybe the answer to that didn't matter.
And by the way, that's why I think the Eric Bieniemy thing is interesting.
This could not have mattered because I said this today. Like, I do think, I wrote this morning, I think there is something to be said, and you can take this in all walks of life. It's not just in sports, but I'm going to use it in sports. There is something to be said for a failed, and Belichick's a really good example of this, but there's plenty of examples. But there's something to be said for a failed coach or player who's given the opportunity or created an opportunity for themselves to reprove themselves. There's something to be said for that. That if you have any heart at all, you're going to say, yeah, no, I failed in Cleveland, but if I get another chance in the NFL, I'm taking it and I'm going to do something with it, right? So in this guy's case, that might be what really drove him, and he may not care who the quarterback is because he might be saying, I'll make lemonade out of any of these people. I just made it out of that kid, the quarterback for me at Georgia. I'll make lemonade out of any of these people.
Well, but you can win in college football without having
correct.
Right.
And I said today,
you can't do that in the NFL.
But I did say today, one of the reasons why he was really good at Georgia is he had really good players. He might not have had the best 11 offensive players in football on his roster, but he had 5 really good NFL caliber players.
Facts.
Right? Well, I say this tongue in cheek, but any goof can coach that, right? When you're in the NFL, all 11 of your guys are good, so are all 11 of the other guys.
Yeah, fact. And they might be better.
Right. So I think he's the one guy out of the group that they interviewed who might have said to them right from Jump Street, and by the way, I just made $2 million a year at Georgia. You can pay me $2 million, 2.4, 2.8, whatever you think's fair. And also, I want you to know, I don't really care who the quarterback is. I want to come back into the NFL. I want a chance to prove myself that what happened in Cleveland was more Freddie Kitchens than it was me. And I think there's something to be said for that. And maybe that's what wooed them to him. I don't know.
Okay. Now
that's just something in my.
Let's flush this through. Gambling can be fun, but you should set a limit and stay within it, Drew. And remember that if you or a loved one.
When you said gambling could be fun, right away I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like Pavlov's dog. I'm
it's like
what?
I bet you we can have some.
Right.
You should set a limit, stay within it. Remember, if you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. I don't like saying these words. I agree that it's possible. And, in fact, when people, like yesterday, were bringing up the idea that he turned down Tampa for the job, I'm like, okay, they don't have a quarterback in Tampa for sure. Like, might not have a quarterback in Baltimore, definitely don't have a quarterback in Tampa. So the idea that him turning down Tampa is proof that he knows something about Lamar Jackson in Baltimore is silly, right? Like, there's definitely no quarterback in Tampa. There may or may not be a quarterback here in Baltimore. We don't know. To the second point, I could think the –
And also, it's fair to say – maybe you could make this argument about the Ravens, but I don't think you can. I think that Tampa looks to me to be kind of an unsettled situation.
Yes,
right?
I agree with that.
They won the championship with one coach. The next year he was gone, but he still kind of hangs around. Is he really in charge, not in charge? Who's the coach? Hey, they just had a losing season. They only won 8 games. The best quarterback in the history of football quit. Who do they have? I think that's an unsettled situation. And in that regard, if I were his agent, I would say, Todd, what the hell are you doing?
Correct.
You're at Georgia.
Right.
You can kind of name your
Understood.
You can name your next landing spot.
Right.
But why would you go to Tampa when you don't really know what's going on there?
They could end up rebuilding right now.
Right. At least in Baltimore, when you're his agent, you say, okay, ownership stable, check. Coach, been there forever, check.
General managers, they
I
had
mean,
a succession.
Say what you will.
Everything is stable, correct.
Right. So correct. I do think if you're, and everybody does this, or at least, I don't know if he's got a wife and kids, but I mean, everybody does this, right? Unless you're single and you have no one to answer to, at some point you've got to go run if you got some lucrative offer tomorrow from some school in New Jersey, you couldn't just call them and say, I'll do it. You'd have to go to your wife and say, hey, look, this is the deal. Let's think this thing through. You stay here. I'll go there. In your case, you'd love to do that. I'll take the 2 kids. You still.
Is that what we're doing?
I'm just kidding. But, you got to vet this through people, right? So if you go to your wife and you say, hey, I don't know, Tampa's interested. And she's like, okay, is it 5 years, 10 years?
Right.
And you go, well, I don't know, it might be 2.
Right.
She's like, I like Athens.
Yeah, correct.
I like $2 million a year.
I'm happy here. Exactly right.
But we're going to Baltimore, and the coach has been there forever. Probably not going anywhere soon unless he wants to. Good franchise.
Somebody did ask me to call you out on your prediction that this was going to be John Harbaugh's final season. I'm trying to remember who it was. What do you have to say for yourself? For being
I was wrong.
He said he bet he hang on. Tell Drew I lost my house on his John Harbaugh's last season.
Oh, well, that's your fault if you're a moron and you bet your house on
and
anything.
And you listen to Drew.
Yeah,
what
right.
the hell's wrong with
you're an idiot, not me.
Yeah, right.
No, I said if it continued. I didn't say it was going to be his last season. I said if it continued like this. No.
You made multiple proclamations.
I'll pull it up
100%.
Right. I said if this went sideways and they didn't make the playoffs, absolutely, I said that. But I did not say flat out.
I don't think that's the case.
I'm telling you 1,000,000%
I don't
it's the
think
case.
that's.
But anyway,
I'm not going to pretend like we're going to go back and search. So
well, but anyway, had they gone sideways and not made the playoffs, I think it might have been his last season because I think he might have walked out. But anyway, go ahead. Let's go talk about whatever we were talking about. Todd Monken.
The point of all of this always comes back to me. Like you could hire the greatest offense coordinator in the history of football. If you don't have a quarterback next year, it's not going to matter. I don't know how to keep saying I can't believe that anyone would sit down and watch the Super Bowl on Sunday night and wake up on Monday morning and be like, "Yep, you see, that's why you got it. You're just as good off having it Derek Carr next season. Like, just give it a shot."
Right.
This is what you're up against. This is the reality of the world.
Carr's washed up.
Right. It's not even if you think he's washed. Even if you think he's as good as he possibly can be, he's nothing like that.
Right.
He's never been anything approaching that.
Right.
Not in the same stratosphere as that.
Right.
At his best, which he most certainly wasn't a year ago. But when he was at his absolute best, he couldn't be anything like that. The idea of sitting back and watching that and thinking, well, just go get Derek Carr and get some draft picks and see what you can do. I'm befuddled by the lack of understanding. And when I come back to the Todd Monken thing, I say, great, you've got Todd Monken. He's your offensive coordinator. Now, do you have a quarterback? Because if you've got one, I think you got a chance with Todd Monken. If you don't, I don't think you have a chance in hell.
And is your opinion that the only guy is Lamar?
Either that or you better knock it out of the park on a draft pick. Like, you better find someone who's so good immediately.
And who would you do that with that you would really feel uber confident
these guys,
about,
none of
honestly?
them. Uber, not any of these guys.
I mean, and that's why the Lamar thing, I still say, like, they're going to figure this out. They're going to resolve it. He's not going to get what he wanted, but they're going to get him. And I actually think at this point now, what you're going to see is some sort of stopgap deal where they give him 3 years and $150 million, and in some way, shape, or form, 119.5 of that's guaranteed to him. And they'll revisit it in 3 years. Because they're going to give him 45 this year by hook or by crook, right? Mm-hmm. So you know he gets 45.
Right.
So why don't we just give you another 45 and half of that in your hand, or, guaranteed to you, and you do this for 3 years. And if I'm the Ravens, if I'm Lamar, I may not want that. And if I'm the NFLPA, I may not want that. But if I'm the Ravens, that's an ideal situation for me.
I hear you.
And if I'm not, and look, I would even go as far as saying this. I'll give you the whole $150 million.
Right, if it's for 3 years.
Yeah,
I get why that would be.
We'll do this for 3 years,
and that to me might make it interesting.
I would do that
because I don't think
if
Lamar.
I'm the Ravens,
I don't think Lamar would do it for the first set of circumstances.
Okay,
right?
but
why? Why would you do it if you're Lamar Jackson? But if you're making
because you haven't played in December in 2 years,
but you keep trying to make that seem like a thing. Like the Ravens want that to matter. You want that to matter.
It does matter.
No, on the open market, it doesn't effing matter.
Of course, it matters.
No, it doesn't.
It matters.
What matters is he's a quarterback, and these teams desperately need quarterbacks because they're all saying the same thing.
Right. But I would give him that deal and say, hey, I'll guarantee you the $150 million for 3 years because I'm going to give you 45 this year no matter what. And unless you, and under no circumstances do I even think this is possible, but to throw it in as a caveat, and unless you somehow forgot how to quarterback in a year, I'm giving you that the following year too if I can't sign you. I'm going to do this 2 times. We're going to play this game for 2 years. We're going to franchise you this year. And if for some weird reason we can't agree on a deal,
right? Because
you,
so you already have the numbers in front of you.
So I'm going to give you another 60 the next year.
Correct.
I'm going to give you 105 in your hand for sure. So what's the third year? Who cares? I'll give you another 40. I don't care. So I know I got you for 2 years. I'll give you one more year for free. Not free, but I'll give you one more year on us to kind of just say, let's get it done. And it gives them 3 years to see what he does. And if in 3 years he is still not playing in December every year, or his game has in some way, shape, or form not lived up to that kind of a value, then you can get rid of him. or not get rid of him, but you can move him on.
It's interesting. I still think the answer back is going to be.
But I do think they're going to sign him. My point is, I think they're going to sign Lamar. I also now think that it might be one of those 3-year things where they just say, hey, we'll do it for 3 years. And they'll say to him, and maybe the NFLPA will too, this is a great idea for you because you're going to be 29 years old and you're still going to be able to go kill people.
Yeah.
At the bank.
Yeah, and I think what they would also say is
if you blow your knee out,
but a 5-year deal is really a 3-year deal, right? Like that's the way it's always worked these quarterbacks. After 3 years into a 5-year deal, you go back and you figure out what it is that it looks like. So why am I giving something back in the process of having room to negotiate in 3 years? Like I get it. I get everything you're saying, and I get why the Ravens, you would say, hey, look, if we've got to do fully guaranteed, we'd rather do it for 3 than do it for 5. I still just don't know.
Well, they're not giving it to him for 5.
But that's the problem. Somebody would. Like, you keep coming back to the idea.
And they may do that. I mean, in their mind, and that's why I said to you from the beginning, like, who would you go get? If they had 4 options, if the Jets had the 3rd pick, and there was an option there, and you wanted to parse him off and get rid of him and move him on, and you had a guy, well, okay. The problem is they don't have somebody.
That's
Are they
the
going to
issue.
trot Huntley out there?
But all of that is why at some point this keeps coming back to the strength that Lamar Jackson has. For as much as you or whoever else wants it to matter that he hasn't played in December the last 2 years, the strength is, but there are half of the league doesn't have a quarterback. Half of the league. It is as bleak at the quarterback position as it has been in this era of football. Half of the league needs a quarterback. There are so many desperate teams to find
you count
one.
Mariota?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about Mariota. That's a great point. They're good.
17.
They liked him so much they tried.
It's actually 17.
They tried Desmond Ritter last year.
Who actually was okay for them for a while.
It went until he threw the ball.
Right.
Until he had to do something, and then it wasn't much there. It is as bleak as the quarterback position has ever been, and they all see the same things that we did while we were watching the game on Sunday night. We have no hope at all because that dude is 27 and not going anywhere.
Even if we bring him back, if we trot those same receivers out there, it's not going to matter.
I don't disagree with you.
Honestly, it's not going to matter.
So
if we can bring him back and give him $400 million.
So then what do you do?
I mean, that's what they're facing, and that's I guess the dichotomy of this is interesting, right? In that if they were to give Lamar all of this money, it then potentially could impact their ability to go out and add multiple wide receivers of value, right? So they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They know they need multiple wide receivers of value. And how are they going to go get those if they got to give the quarterback $45 or $50 million? Now, I get it. $45 million as a franchise player is different than $45 million on a new salary because you can finagle the cap however way you want. But they really are desperate at wide receiver.
I completely agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
There is no. I'm not suggesting they should cut Duvernay. So when I say this, don't get me wrong. There is no one that they could or would cut this offseason where I would say, man, you guys are insane. I can't believe you guys cut that guy.
No. Bateman, yes. It would be insane to cut Rashad Bateman.
Okay, but
it would be batch.
Okay.
I almost said it.
All right. I'll agree with that.
What do you?
I'll agree with that other than to say the fact that he's had this injury problem is concerning. But you're right.
There is a point to be made.
You're not giving up on a
second-year guy. You have a point that you're making about Bateman that's relevant. It's just that you can't translate that to cutting him.
But anyone else other than him, if they announced today they cut that guy, I would say, okay. I mean,
no big deal. But they don't have anybody else.
Right. I mean, Duvernay's a nice piece, but Duvernay's Duvernay.
And
he's just a guy.
But it wouldn't make sense to cut him either because he is a good returner.
No. But
right?
I'm just saying, if they used him, if they used Duvernay
as a
trade,
throwaway in a trade, absolutely.
Right.
By
You
all
would
means,
go,
of course.
Okay.
There would be no.
He's
Rio
Ruiz. Right.
It would be insane to cut him only.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that that.
Only because he's.
I just meant if they somehow dismissed all of their receivers but Bateman, you would go, okay.
You would almost encourage it.
Yeah,
you would almost
what are we
say
getting in return?
You maybe should plan on flushing all of your wide receivers except for Rashad Bateman. We should be but I get it. Like, you can only do so many of these things. I hate the fact that this is our Todd Monken conversation. I wish I could care more about Todd Monken. I wish. And I appreciate
he can come in here and do all that he wants. And if they ask him to make chicken salad and they give him pieces of pork, he ain't making chicken salad.
100%.
Right.
Like, this is the reality of the circuit. The Todd Monken thing is as interesting to me as whoever is on the field next season. I like him. I like what Eric Zeier said about him. We just had Eric Zeier, former Ravens quarterback, and Georgia color.
I mean, unless he's like Kyle Shanahan and he can do, with a fourth-string quarterback with the 49ers.
I hear you. I hear you. There is still something to be said for, like, in that situation, you still have to have George Kittle and Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey and all those things. I get that, like, we're trying to portray Kyle Shanahan as being genius of genius, and there might be something to it, right? I do think that part of it is we're acknowledging that Brock Purdy's probably a little bit better than, seventh Mr. Irrelevant in the draft. Like, part of that is the case. So it all matters in the conversation, right? Like, it's all relevant in discussing it. But sure, if we find out that Todd Monken is just so scary smart, which feels weird that we would learn that this deep into his career. It's interesting you brought, like, the fact that he failed. A lot of people are trying to hold up Baker Mayfield's success, like his statistical success for that season, and frankly, even Jameis Winston's 30-touchdown season, yes, that also involved 30 interceptions, as proof of how good Todd Monken can be as an offensive coordinator. And this goes back to, like, numbers can tell you anything depending on how you look at them. There's probably something to be said for that, right? Like, he did probably get about as much out of Jameis Winston as anyone has ever gotten out of Jameis Winston. He's got about as much out of Baker Mayfield as anybody ever got out of Baker Mayfield. But those teams were also very bad in getting their ass kicked regularly. And so statistics were probably skewed by how much they were getting their ass kicked and how much they were asking these guys to throw. So I don't know what to make.
Yeah, like, I was saying that more from his standpoint, not from the standpoint of evaluating him. Anyone who evaluates these guys based on what they did in the past is goofy. You're talking about two totally different franchises. You're talking about different opponents, different. You can talk about all that, what he did with this quarterback, that quarterback. You keep talking about that all you want. It's not even germane to this topic. He's going to be inheriting a. You can term this however you want. He's going to be inheriting a very good offensive line. He's going to be inheriting, if they keep Edwards around, he's not a cap guy. He's going to be inheriting two very good running backs. He's inheriting.
One thing that's been pointed out, he definitely has thrown the ball to running backs. He has more of a history of throwing the ball to running backs. And if there's any knock to have on what the Ravens are bringing,
neither one of them are good at that.
That's why you get Bijan.
Can you make one of them go? Or to your point,
right.
Do you feel like you have to say we've got to mix things up somehow because we need a better pass catching
maybe Gus is
back.
out and they bring somebody else in or whatever. Justice Hill's not bad. Now, I'm not suggesting Justice Hill moves into the number 2 spot. He's actually not bad out of the back to catching the ball.
Catcher, I agree.
Right. And you got one of the 5 best tight ends in football on your team.
Yep.
Right. You think this likely kid is likely going to be.
God.
What?
Oh God.
What?
Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
I mean, you likely think.
Oh yeah. Any more? We got time, bro. Keep going.
Anyway, you do. I can't even say it with a straight face because I want to say likely, but you do think it's likely that he's going to be good. Now you got 2 of them, and you do have, if he's healthy, you have a very competent wide receiver in one. So he's inheriting, and you could have a top 5 quarterback in the top whatever quarterback in the league.
Yes,
he's inheriting a. This is not a car that needs a new engine.
By all means, if that's what you're talking about right now is exactly the reason for optimism.
Yeah,
as long as Lamar Jackson is back, as long as they do something.
But I bring that up to say to people, don't worry about what he did before with this person, that person, this quarterback. To put all that aside. Just here's what he's working with. Does his history at Georgia, recent history at Georgia, bode well for him? Absolutely. But again, it's college football. There were 4 games a year that mattered to Georgia that they tried.
No,
and they won them all.
Most of them. Yes.
Right. But I mean, the other 6 games, their B team was going to win. So I think it's a good hire, but I also would say I have no idea if it's a good hire.
Yes.
And here's how I know it'll be a good hire. If he does a good job and the offense scores points.
There you go. That's why we pay him. That's why he's got a fully guaranteed contract.
And we do this all the time.
I hear you.
We do this with the draft every year. We had a great draft.
Right.
We had a great draft. They haven't played a game
yet. Right. Exactly. You have no clue. Remember, what was the year where they had the 5 fourth-round picks? It was the greatest round in the history of the NFL draft, and they have essentially nothing. I think Tavon Young was in that group, and he was a decent player for a little while, and that was it. That's all they had to show from that group. And Todd McShay, who Bijan Robinson, Todd McShay says, it's the greatest round I've ever seen in the history of a draft. Nothing. Zero to show from it. Bring it up all the time.
Right.
All right, Drew Forrester is here, drewsmorningdish.com. Today's show is also brought to you by PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Drew, did you know you could bet on college lacrosse? Who am I asking? You knew you could bet on college.
I know for sure you could bet on that Maryland Loyola game
You
last
had Carolina last night, didn't you?
What was the final there?
They ended up coming back and winning like 10-7.
I was going to say 10-8, 10-7.
Yeah, 10-7. They were down 6-3 at the half, and the Hopkins just ran out of legs in the second half, and Carolina came back.
Too bad, unless you had Carolina minus 1.5.
Nailed it. Look at you. Would they have been favorites on the road last night? I don't think they would.
I heard they weren't.
Yeah, you were. Place bet $5 and get $200 in instant bonus.
Or bet $100 and be a man.
When you go to PressBox. I don't think you get more than $200 in instant bonus bets, though. I'm doing a read now.
Oh, sorry.
Bet $5.
We're doing business now. Sorry.
And instant bonus bets when you go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers and sign up with DraftKings. This is your chance to have fun and make a few bucks betting on your favorite college lacrosse teams. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers and click on the DraftKings link to get your $200 in lacrosse bonus bets. Yeah, I'm not too down. Like Hopkins, again, was rolling in the first half last night, and then they just completely ran out of legs in the second half after having played on Saturday. Some maybe questions to be asked about the scheduling thought process there, whereas Carolina played on Friday against Mercer, who is not nearly as good, and Hopkins played Saturday against Georgetown. Right. So I still think that this is going to be a hell of a battle on Saturday between Hopkins and Loyola.
Now, the Loyola went over Maryland. I know around here a lot of people were hopping up and down about how impressive it was, but Maryland is down, right? Or no?
They're down?
I mean, they're still Maryland, but I mean, they're down.
But I don't like down to me is I think everybody on the planet would still tell you they're definitively a Final Four team this year.
Okay, well that's not really down. Then.
It's down from being.
But they're down a couple of guys
head and
that
shoulders,
mattered, right? But and then the other day, didn't they win 18 of 24 faceoffs and still lost?
They won
which
18
is like
of 22 faceoffs. 18 of 22.
That's unheard of.
They won 18 of 22.
That's unheard of. Fire the faceoff guy.
for what?
For not being able to win when you collect 18 of 22.
I mean, Luke Weirman is the best faceoff guy in the country.
Fire him.
I don't think.
Right. No, but it's just funny how people around here, and I get it. It's a huge win, Loyola, and you know this because you're over there. Like Loyola's been kind of up and down recently.
No,
right?
this is massive.
This was a
huge
win for them.
Extraordinarily massive for
but
Loyola.
But I do think it's fair to point out Maryland's not people.
Okay, but they did just beat a ranked team the previous week, like 19-4 or something.
Okay, well
like
maybe
that.
It was a shocker. Then.
I think it's every ounce the shocker that people think it is.
Fair enough.
To the point, Maryland was not going to go 19-0 this year. I think the way that this is not as good as they were a year ago. But they still have the best face-off guy in the country. We thought they had the best goalie in the country. They didn't play all that well on Saturday, so I'm not sure what to make of that. All right, when we come back in, I have other things I want to address with Drew. I guess we'll talk about – I saw what you wrote about the Super Bowl thing, so we can talk about it for the fun of it.
What did I write about?
You're mad that we agreed about something. We'll definitely not agree about that.
About what?
The call at the end of the game.
I didn't –
all right, stop. We got to take a break, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
Okay.
Jesus. And then – I'll let you try to explain to me if it matters that Tiger Woods is playing golf tomorrow. We'll find out about that.
Where? Tiger's playing?
Yeah. No, weird.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's all coming up. Drew's here. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at over $60,000 and over $64,000 for lateral officers, with $10,000 signing bonuses available. Plus, cadets start at over $32,000. Great benefits are available like medical, dental, and vision insurance, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days per calendar year with no limit, career advancement to more than 20 specialized units, and more, with further incentives for military service members and veterans. A passion for service, a career for life with the Baltimore County Police Department. Find out more at joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. Must be a United States citizen, have a valid driver's license, and a high school diploma or GED equivalent.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson profiles Orioles phenom Gunnar Henderson, breaking down how he was able to become the top prospect in baseball at such a young age and what could be next in his first full MLB season. Also inside, we meet lacrosse players from the men's and women's college programs across the state, and Bo Smoka breaks down another year of wide receiver issues for the Ravens. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
There's something for everyone this February at Laurel Park. Come watch live horse racing every Friday through Sunday and join us on Saturday, February 18th for the Winter Stakes Spectacular, featuring 6 stakes races and $900,000 in purses, including the General George and Barbara Fritchie Stakes. The fun doesn't stop there. Stick around for our Winter Mardi Gras celebration with live music, delicious food and drinks, and a carnival atmosphere. Plus, don't miss out on President's Day holiday racing on Monday, February 20th. Visit laurelpark.com for more info. That's laurelpark.com for more. See you at the track.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn over at 4100 North Point Boulevard.
Check out PressBoxOnline.com every day to find daily winners and betting advice from Jeremy Kahn. And if you want some advice about life decisions that you probably shouldn't make, here's Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR. Drew Forrester is here, drewsmorningdish.com. Hey, you heard it in that. Can you run out and see if there's a copy of the print issue sitting out there, if you don't mind? We do have a new print issue that is available today at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of those hundreds of locations around town where you find PressBox. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Gunnar Henderson is on the cover. Luke Jackson profiled the number 1 prospect in baseball, who, of course, be graduating from that role here in a few days, as he's going to be on the Major League club to start the season, but 21 years old and has already elevated himself to this place despite not being even a first-round pick in the Major League Baseball draft. So great story from Luke Jackson about Gunnar Henderson. Again, go get that print issue of PressBox today at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of those hundreds of locations. Special lacrosse section inside where you meet the players from around the area, and Bo Smoka on the Ravens in the wide receiver position, which I don't know if you've heard is somehow an issue once again. Oh, and there it is right there. Thank you, Griffin. There's that print issue with Gunnar Henderson on the cover, which is available today everywhere around town where you find PressBox, and again at PressBoxOnline.com.
Hell of a football game.
It was a hell of a
football game. It was a hell of a football game.
I agree.
I tell you what, and I know there are defensive aficionados who would rather have seen it been 20-17.
Do those people still exist?
I know.
I'm not sure if they
score as many
still
points as you want.
Right.
It was a hell of a game.
Yeah.
I came away. I mean, weird as it sounds, and I know he coughed up the ball, and that was a huge turning point or huge play because they were about to go up 21-4.
It was definitely the best I had ever seen Jalen Hurts, unquestionably.
By far.
Unquestionably.
Like, totally looked in the element.
I don't know if you remember. We were having a conversation about, I think Jalen Hurts is really good, but would they have made the Super Bowl with Jared Goff? Jared Goff wasn't going to do that on Sunday. There's no world. Jalen Hurts looked like a rock star on Sunday.
I would say that he really looked the part.
Yep.
Looked like the moment was not too big for him at all. If you said to me what was your number 1 takeaway from the game, I think that's my number 1 takeaway. I know he lost, and I know the offense wasn't great in the second half, but I thought that kid really acquitted himself well. And if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm really excited. Like, if they can continue to put this kind of, they're going
to have to pay him. It
is fair to look at what they did this year schedule-wise and who they beat and how they beat them. they led a very, very charmed life.
They did.
If you look at their schedule.
And you add in the fact that they decided to be the first team to really go all in with a quarterback on his rookie contract. They did the thing that we kept asking the Ravens to do, that every fan base has asked their team to do. They were the team that said, we'll trade away draft picks, we'll do whatever we got to do. We want to put the absolute best roster on the field that we possibly can while we've got a quarterback on a rookie. They had a loaded roster everywhere. They just weren't able to play defense in the second half because that's Patrick Mahomes and that's the NFL in 2023. They did everything that they had. They were setting sack records for the season, and they couldn't get a sack in the second half.
Right.
Because they were facing Patrick Mahomes
Right.
and Andy Reid and the rules in the NFL in 2023.
And some people would say the other takeaway is how good Mahomes is. And sure.
But we didn't learn that on Sunday.
I was just going to say, but we knew that already.
Correct.
Now, it's interesting how this works, right? He's now played in 3 Super Bowls. He's won 2 of them, right? Is he? Yeah, he's won 2 and lost only 1. The only one he lost was to Tampa.
Yes.
Which sort of kind of doesn't count because that was more about the football gods than anything.
Well, it's also they didn't have any offensive line.
But interesting.
He was on his ass on every play.
But interesting the difference between if he were to had he lost this game, he'd be 1-2 in the Super Bowls, right?
It would definitely start to become part of his narrative.
Right.
There's no doubt.
And I heard someone say the other day, and I could be wrong on this, but I think I heard someone say, had he lost to the Bengals, he would be the first quarterback to have ever lost 3 AFC championship games.
We had a.
Is that accurate or not?
I think it was at home. I think was what it was.
Okay.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think it was a home. I don't think it was 3.
But I guess I bring that up to say people were already looking for a way to take a leak on this kid. Right? Like,
I mean,
he
I don't
lost
know.
3 championship
Right,
games. Like, they would have done the same thing if he lost
to
the other
find
day.
something to
Sure.
attempt to
You can't be this good.
Right. But it also goes back to we are obsessed with the idea, and this is relevant to the Ravens conversation. There are people that are obsessed with the idea that you can't pay a quarterback a certain amount of money and still win a Super Bowl because they're slaves to this data. Like, look at these numbers. It says if you pay your quarterback more than 14% of the salary cap, you're not going to be able to win the Super Bowl. Because what they got caught up on was how many times Tom Brady won the Super Bowl. Instead of actually trying to learn something from the data, they just blindly said, well, it's not possible. You can't do it. What the data said was what we all know. You're better off if you don't have to pay your quarterback that much money because you can probably put a better roster around him.
Right.
What it didn't say is you can't do it. It said if you can get Tom Brady and get him to play for less than market value at the quarterback position, you're going to be in better shape than everybody else is.
Right.
Is that available to you?
Right.
No. So
I
now
thought it was
what?
a hell of a game, man. I would say it was. I don't know how you rank them, but it's one of the best Super Bowls I think we've ever seen, for sure.
Now the thing.
Now what?
Now the thing. The thing.
Go
you
ahead.
know, the thing.
I have no idea what you're talking
The
about.
call at the end of the game. The
Nah.
thing.
I would say this, that what would bother me about that call is I think that play happens 15 times a game and isn't called.
I don't think
That
I don't
absolutely.
think that play does.
It happens all the time.
I think
There is clutching and grabbing on every single passing play. I feel very confident in saying that if you have a discerning eye for football, on every single passing play, you could call a penalty.
I think that part is true. I think that specific play and why it was imperative.
And I don't think that kid was going to catch the ball in the first place.
Well, I don't know if he was going to catch the ball or not.
I thought that holding was very marginal.
So there is no. I can't believe.
But
that
again,
we would
I'm not
debate
saying.
this.
But I don't think. But I don't think that's what. I don't think that's the. That ended the game. That ended the game.
And by the way,
But-
that's a bummer.
Okay, but well, yeah, right.
It's
And that's what
bummer.
I'm saying. That ended the game. That wasn't the reason why the Chiefs won, but it ended the game. That if that play isn't called, and I don't remember the exact down and distance. I know it was third down. If that play isn't called, it's a 45-yard field goal. And maybe I'm wrong. Were they on the 28, 24?
Yeah,
Where were they?
It was
In that range,
it's something
right?
like that, right? And he
Okay.
just missed a 48-yarder or whatever.
I don't
it
care
was.
who you are.
42-yarder.
And
he missed, right?
I know in Baltimore we should never say this because of Tucker's success, but I don't care what kicker you are. A 44, anything outside of 40, now really requires everything to be perfect. Anything other than that, you can kind of navigate your way through a faulty snap or some timing problems. You can still get it in there. Anything outside of that, and now you take into account there's 1:40 left in the game, and if you miss it, it's not like they get the ball on the 10. If you miss this field goal, they get the ball on the 34-yard line. Now they only have to go 30 yards, and their guy gets a shot. So that field goal was by no means a guarantee.
Well, it goes a step beyond that. Even if he hits it, there's still plenty of time left for the game to go down and do it. But
so the game wasn't – so when that play happened, that ended the game. The game was over. They were going to do exactly
because they were smart enough to not score a touchdown.
Right.
In the next
they were going to
play,
do exactly what they did.
Right.
They were going to just chew up, get it to the 20, get it to the 5, kick a field goal, and win the game. So that's a shame that the game ended like that. But that's definitely not why the Chiefs won.
Not only not what they determined the game, and the idea that the players. This is the problem that I have. The players did determine the game, and this is the issue I have with saying, hey, you could call that on any play. You could call something on every play, but you have to call it when it changes the play. Because there's grabbing on a lot of plays. There's grabbing and there's hand fighting and things like that, but they're in 50-50 situations. James Bradbury, when he admitted what he did afterwards, knows exactly why he did it. Because he was beat. Because Juju Smith-Schuster had the corner.
Which is really remarkable.
100%. It speaks to how great Patrick Mahomes is that he was able to do this with 0 at wide receiver, right? Like, they designed a play.
How about the fact they scored 2 touchdowns on identical plays?
Identical plays.
And the Eagles couldn't figure it out.
100%. They designed a play that got Juju Smith-Schuster to the corner wide open with no help coming on that side of the field.
I know.
And because of that, James Bradbury had to grab him because he was beat. And that's the call that you have to make. You have to make a call when someone is beat, and because they're beat, they grab. Absolutely, it ended the game because James Bradbury ended the game.
I thought he might miss it.
You thought he might miss the final kick?
I did. I thought, how funny would this be if this dude misses this? I kind of thought he was going to miss it. What was it? What was the field goal? 29 yards?
Yeah, something like that. No, it wasn't even 29 yards. Well, yeah, because they lost 8 yards, right? Like taking a knee to try to kill some more clock.
27.
27 yards, yes.
I made a 33-yarder once.
You didn't. I don't know if you remember that. You never actually did it.
I just stood right there.
Right. I know you saw it. You looked at it. And you
I stood right in the middle of the field.
I understand that. But
Ask
you never
the Ravens.
Actually, right,
they got mad at me.
No, that's the part of the problem. You didn't do it. They invited you to come.
Of all the things, if you ever said to me, What's the one thing that you
they got mad at all of us.
You still can't believe happened?
Yeah. Oh, they were furious.
It would be that they got mad at me for that.
Not mad. Furious.
It might have been too soon. I will admit that. That maybe we shouldn't have showed the video the next day.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It might have been too soon.
They called me. I'm like, what the hell do you think I have to do with this? It ain't between me and you. You talk to him.
I did make
it. Like because we jokingly we gave myself. I don't know if you remember this story, but when he fired Bachman, like jokingly, I said, "What am I the program director now?"
Right.
And he said, "Yeah, fine, you're the program director."
Right.
It got me no raise. It got me no anything.
All it got you was fired.
Correct.
Yeah, right.
It just meant that I was the program director,
right.
and I put it on my resume. I was the program director.
Now look where you are.
Yeah. Right.
Now, every time you go to Loyola, like this is I'm here because I was the program
director over there. So they called me because I was the program director. The hell, it wasn't even a real title. It was just said program.
And you
director.
said, why don't you call Drew?
Correct is exactly what I said.
And when I saw him,
this has nothing to do with me.
When I saw him, they're like, that was a BS thing you did.
I'm like, not only they
dude,
say that,
give it a rest.
They were furious that you wouldn't take them up on their offer to come try the field goal. They were furious about it.
I said to them, I don't have to.
Fury.
I already made it.
You already made it. Sure you did. Sure you did.
I will say,
all right,
for all the Cundiff haters,
yeah,
I will say this. When I stood there, those goalposts are way more narrow.
Way more narrow on the field
than you think they are.
Yeah, from where you see it, you're like, it's forever.
And I would say even on television,
yep, I agree.
It doesn't give you the perspective of how narrow they are.
Rob Gronkowski couldn't make the kick.
I know, I heard. and anyone who says kickers don't belong in the Hall of Fame, you are insane.
Well,
when you see what this guy's done, and I know it's local bias, but when you see
he's gonna be in the Hall of Fame. There's
you
no
would
debate.
think,
There's
right?
no debate about that. He's going to be.
You would think.
He doesn't play wide. The only position that can't get into the Hall of Fame is wide receiver.
We'll have a parade if that
They're
ever
not,
happens.
They're not going to let any wide receivers into the
definitely
Hall
having
of
a
Fame.
parade if there's ever a Raven wide receiver.
I mean in general, they won't let wide receivers
right. None
in.
this year, right?
None. Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson,
Didn't get
all on the ballot. None of them got in. No offense to any of the guys who got in.
I kind of heard it. I didn't realize it wasn't on Saturday this year.
Yeah, they did it on Thursday.
Right. I didn't realize that until Friday.
And apparently they might be doing the voting. Remember it used to be they would vote all day on Saturday and then make the announcement Saturday night.
Right.
They might be doing the voting 2 weeks ahead of time.
Okay.
now.
So who got in? Zach Thomas got in.
Zach Thomas got in. Darrell Revis
Darrell
got
Revis,
in.
we knew
Joe
that.
Thomas got in.
Those three. Check.
DeMarcus Ware got in.
Check.
And who was the other one? I've already forgotten. God, I've already forgotten who the fifth one was.
Wasn't Willis.
It was not Patrick Willis,
Yeah.
no, and it wasn't any of the wide receivers. It was, and all the older guys got in.
Yeah, I mean
Joe Klecko and
they don't count.
of course, the MVP from when the Baltimore Colts won the Super Bowl 5. Their MVP, Chuck Howley.
They don't.
Rondé Barber.
Rondé
Barber.
thank you,
Which
was
that
the
was
one.
a joke. He don't belong in there. So anyway,
You're going war on Rondé Barber? What is that?
another joke. Right.
The world. Imagine going war.
No
on
one that
Rondé
good looking
Barber.
should be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, you might have. You might be on some, and that's the problem. I don't know.
They should call you up and go, Rondé, can we be honest with you?
Right.
We voted you in.
Yeah, but
then we looked at you and we realized you're already in the Hall of Fame.
Correct. That's not bad. I can't believe I'm giving you credit for that. That's not bad.
You're already a Hall of Famer.
But they had 3 wide receivers, 3 of them, all among the greatest wide receivers. of all
Reggie
time.
Wayne. I mean, I think. Look, I think Torrey Holt should be in the Hall of Fame. But if you want to make an argument against him, go ahead. I think Andre Johnson was a great wide receiver. He had played for the team with the best helmets. If you want to make an argument against him,
what would that be?
But if you do, knock yourself out. There is no argument against Reggie Wayne.
What is the argument against? The only argument
I don't know.
But
there isn't one against Reggie Wayne.
There's no argument against the other guys either.
I guess the only negative for
They're
Reggie
Hall of
Wayne is he
Famers.
wore those helmets.
Well, that's a great point.
And that drives me insane.
He stole them. That's what happened. You can't get into the Hall of Fame if you're a wide receiver. You'll never be allowed.
No,
to.
I know.
the
It's
way that
bizarre.
It makes no sense to me whatsoever. All right. Hey, the Baltimore County Police Department is hiring, and they've got a big event coming up on February 25th at the Public Safety Building, 700 East Joppa Road here in Towson. You can do everything right there. You can take your written test, your agility test. And, again, if I can pass the agility test with flying colors, then you can pass the agility test as well. I promise you're capable of doing it. Get there on the 25th, starting at 10 a.m. You ready for a career change? This is your moment.
Write this
You're
down.
ready to sign up? Well, I got good
Well, you
news
said
for you.
agility test, and my ears perked up.
Okay, I can pass the agility test. Maybe not everyone can pass the agility test. Some of us are just, athletes.
I know.
Some of us.
I've seen you curl.
Some of us. I don't know if you heard. Undefeated curling skip. Undefeated. No one's ever beat me as a curling skip.
Where's the real? There's not real ice here.
Yeah, no. We did it on real.
No, I
ice.
know.
Yeah, you did it on the other thing. Hey,
we didn't get a chance.
All right, stop.
We left.
Let me finish telling everybody about the police. We like them.
We do like
them. Find out more at joinbaltimorecountypd.com. 410-887-5542. Cadet salaries start at $32,611. Entry-level officers at $60,686. Lateral officers at $64,000. And entry-level lateral officers also eligible for a $10,000 signing bonus. You are looking for a career for life and you have a passion to serve. The Baltimore County Police Department. Join BaltimoreCountyPD.com. We have to cap this at 5 minutes because we've got to do Would You Rather Wednesday, and then we got to talk to Julian
Do you think
Reese.
Dan Orlovsky got an email or he would never be given an email because he wouldn't want it in writing. You think Dan Orlovsky got chided for praying by ESPN?
No, I don't.
Interesting.
I don't. I know that in your world this is a hotter topic, right?
No, I'm just asking you.
I think in that moment
it was okay.
Yes, I think given
I hope so.
Given
someone asked me that yesterday on the podcast,
feel of the country in that moment. I don't think that was not planned. I don't believe that.
Wait a minute. You don't.
I think.
I don't think.
Right.
That was
not planned. Yes, I think it was planned. Is what I said. It was double negative. Right. Like I think that was discussed ahead of time. I don't think.
How much more ahead of time could have been discussed? It just happened.
No, like before they did the show that day. I think before they did the show,
I see what you're saying.
They plotted out what the show was going. The way that they prepare those shows, there's not room for there to be.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we're doing for 7 minutes.
Exactly right.
Right.
Like this
here are the graphics. Here's what we're
those television
showing.
shows are prepared to the second.
Yeah, 100%.
With what you're going to do.
Like what we do.
Exactly right. Exactly
Kind of like what you and I used to do in radio.
Yeah, correct. I mean, in fairness, even over at 105.7, when they do that pregame show on Sundays, the minute.
It's mapped out.
To the minute.
I'm on 6 to 9 next
Tim,
Monday.
Wait, well, I'm doing
Monday
6 to
night.
9 as well, but I'm doing 6 to 9 in the morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're doing President's Day. I guess.
Bookends.
Very weird that they
Bookends.
Day is a corporate holiday. They care so deeply about President's Day.
Anyway, go ahead.
Today's Gary Clark Jr.'s birthday, and nobody's off, which is insane.
But
so
you think it was planned out?
Yeah, I think it was planned. And I think
said, "I'm going to do it," and they said, "Okay."
Yeah, or he presented it to him like, "Hey, it's something that I was thinking about doing. What do you think about it?" And given the moment, given where we were feeling, none of us knew how to operate that week. None of us knew it was okay to talk about football. None of us knew if it was going to be okay to play football.
Skip Bayless tried to talk about it, and he almost got run out of the country.
I don't want to compare it to 9/11 because obviously no one died,
but it was similar in that we didn't know what to say.
The post 9/11 feel of what are we doing here was very real for all of it. We canceled the Tyus Bowser show, which has nothing to do with DeMar Hamlin or the Buffalo
Bills. And all Skip Bayless tried to say was, they got to figure out what they're going to do about this football game.
Right.
And people wanted to run him out of the country.
Well, part of that is just because
it's him.
Right.
Had that been RG3,
right,
people would have gone, you hear what RG3 said? No, people would have said, RG3's got a good point. I mean, he got a football game to play.
But I think we were so lost into how to do this.
And we saw it.
Right.
It's a different story if that happens on Sunday at 1 o'clock.
And nobody's watching. Right. 100%.
It's totally different.
Everybody.
It
was the game of the year.
Joe Buck came back for a commercial and said they're doing CPR, and everybody went, "Oh my God!"
None of us knew what to do.
Right.
We had no idea.
I think the fact that we saw it was real.
It does. And
again,
matters significantly.
9/11's the same thing.
Right.
We saw
all
it.
of those images. We were watching every single. In fact, we saw the second plane live on television as it flew in. Right. Like it absolutely, to me, he approached them, said, "It's something that's on my heart. I'd like to do it."
I hope so.
And I genuinely believe that given the moment, they said, yeah. I mean, like, sure.
Good. I hope
Go for it. That's what I think happened.
Okay.
I can only give you now 3 minutes because we got to do Would You Rather Wednesday before you leave. And
Would You Rather Wednesday.
We have to talk to Juju Reese coming up here at 11:30.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry, not you. He said he said he didn't want to talk to you.
Oh.
Does it matter? He's playing, so obviously it matters because Tiger Woods is playing, and most of the country, you obviously care about the Genesis is this weekend. You care, but most of the country doesn't give a rat's ass. Because Tiger Woods is playing, they will. But does it actually matter? Like, beyond just if, someone would tune in to watch Tiger Woods play on Thursday afternoon that wouldn't tune in to watch a regular golf tournament, does it really matter?
I think it matters. I think his performance matters as it relates to the next 5 months of golf or 6 months of golf. It does matter. If he shoots 74, 73 and misses the cut by a shot and he's not around for the weekend, all everyone's going to say is, dude, this is over.
Right.
But if he somehow goes 70, 68, he's in the hunt.
But is that plausible?
Oh, sure. Short golf course, not at all difficult to navigate.
From a physical standpoint.
Yeah.
Like,
he's picked this out perfectly. Mm-hmm. This is a short golf course, an easy walk, warm weather, or fairly warm weather. I think I saw it was going to be cloudy and gray, but in the 70s. But warm weather, easy walk, short golf course for him by tour standards, not uphill, downhill, very easy to walk. That's the number one thing for him. Familiar with the layout. Funny enough, has not particularly played well there, but has had some success there as an amateur. And hasn't played any golf. So the question is it rust or is he fresh? Right? That's the question. Well, he hasn't played, so will he be rusty? Or will he be fresh? Like John Rahm's played 4 weeks in a row. He's probably running on a quarter tank at this point.
Really?
He's got to get through. Yeah.
Okay.
4 weeks in a row for those guys is an outlier.
Okay.
Very difficult for them to do that.
But when they're not playing golf, aren't they still playing golf?
No, not necessarily. I mean, they might take 2 days or 3 days off, hit balls 1 or 2 of those days. But like when a golfer's not playing, when a player doesn't play for a week, he doesn't play golf every day. That's the opposite of what he wants to do. He would rather hang out with his family, maybe go over at 4 o'clock and hit some balls, maybe not play the next day, then maybe play the next day or hit some balls. Like, they're not balls to the wall when they're off.
Okay.
So I had this discussion yesterday with the kids on my team. Like, I just threw it out there. Will he make the cut? And all my kids were like, "Oh, he's not making the cut. He's done." I'm like, you're just 16 years old. You have no idea what you're talking about. He can make the cut in any tournament one-handed. So we'll see. But I do think it's important as it relates to the rest of the golf season. Will he play again between now and the Masters?
Mm-hmm.
Will he be? We all know if there's one place he could win again, it would be Augusta. Will he win and will he be competitive there? U.S. Open is in L.A. Perfect area for him on Poana Greens, where he's putted his whole life. The British Open is at Royal Liverpool, where he's won before. I think this is important for him to say, I've got a good 5 or 6 months ahead of me, and I might only play 6 tournaments after this, but I can compete in all of those. And I think he picked a really good venue for this week.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to win,
right?
But I also know you should never say that about him.
I mean,
but I think if he makes the cut. Somebody asked me yesterday, like, what's success for him this week? I would say, having not played any golf since last July, a success for him, a massive success for him this week would be if he made the cut and finished in the top 20.
Okay.
That'd be a massive success.
I would probably agree with that.
Anything,
right?
If he plays the weekend, that's a success for him.
I hear you. All right, let's play Would You Rather Wednesday. Would You Rather Wednesday is brought to you today by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Today, we're giving away a $25 gift card to Royal Farms. Royal Farms coffee is the one for me, fresh and hot. It hits the spot. $25 gift card to Royal Farms for someone who participates for Would You Rather Wednesday. And there's 4 scenarios. Number 1, would you rather the Ravens indeed, like we talked about last week, make a reasonable cost trade for DeAndre Hopkins, let's say a 3rd-round pick, or they pay slightly more and reunite Mike Evans with Todd Monken? Let's just say they give up a first, but they get a 2nd-round pick back.
Give up your first for Mike Evans and get a Evans in a second.
Or just give up a 3rd for DeAndre Hopkins.
I don't know. What is Evans?
He's 29.
30, is he?
He'll be 30 in August.
Yeah. That number, I can't stand 30-year-olds.
Hopkins is going to be 31 for this.
I know.
Right.
I get so nervous around that number of when I think I would take Evans.
Okay. You wouldn't have a 1st-round pick in the draft, though.
But I get a 2nd.
You do get a 2nd.
And all we're going to do with the 1st-round pick is take a wide receiver who's going to flounder anyway.
There we go. There's my guy. There he is.
I mean, let's be honest.
That's true.
We all know when a wide receiver gets picked, the first thing he says is, "Can I go back to school for one more year?
Correct. Can I reconsider this instead of going to Baltimore?" Number 2, of course, Major League Baseball.
I'm kind of down on DeAndre Hopkins. I don't even know why.
I think last week you just said you would make the trade.
I know.
It took 1 week for you to change your mind.
Well, he's older
about
now.
DeAndre.
He's a week older.
It is a drastic difference. You're not wrong about that.
He's a week older.
Of course, we know Major League Baseball had made the extra inning rule permanent. So, number 2, would you rather they not only stick with the extra inning rule, but they also add it to the playoffs, or they get rid of it altogether, but they declare games ties after 12 innings? In the regular season, of course. In the postseason, they wouldn't be able to do that.
I liked that rule at the beginning because it got the game over. And I know why they do it, and I totally get it. It's all about the pitching.
Best rule in the history of baseball.
I guess. I guess what I would say is if you gave me the ability to modify it, I would say you either start at first base with no one out, or you start at second base with one out, and you pick.
But we didn't give you that. We gave you Would You Rather Wednesday.
This segment stinks.
Yeah.
I'll keep the rule,
Damn
but I want to change it to my.
You don't get to change
my
anything.
way.
Shut up.
But wouldn't that be a good idea?
Number 3.
You get the choice. You can start at second base with one out,
right?
Or you get a guy at first base with no outs.
All right. Do you care at all about Bojangles? Are you a Bojangles guy in any way?
I thought he was retired.
All right, we'll just move on. We'll save that.
Did he break his hip or something?
I don't even know.
What happened to him?
Bo Jackson. That's what you're. took me a
I'm
second.
on my game today, baby.
Oh, you're all over it. You're all over it.
Oh, Garrett over here is like,
well,
this is pretty good radio
No,
today.
it's not. No, it's not. We'll skip that one.
Hey, where's what's his name?
Who?
Chase him out, Reeve or whatever
Rami?
his name is.
Rami was here because Griffin was on vacation.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Rami came in to help out for a week.
Rami.
We were part. By the way, he might be. No, I've got Rami on Monday morning. You've got Caleb on Monday night.
Oh, Caleb's the best.
I love Caleb. I love both of them.
Caleb does a good job.
I love they're great guys.
Old hungover Caleb.
No, he wears the sunglasses because they're stylish.
Oh, is that what it is?
In their case, your wife.
Oh.
This week, you find out your wife is suddenly super obsessed with Valentine's Day.
Oh, thank God she isn't.
Like super
Okay.
obsessed.
Overly obsessed.
To make your life difficult. Or
okay.
she comes to you and says she doesn't care at all. So much so, like literally cares zero, that you kind of start to wonder.
Oh. Like, you don't have to get me a card or flowers or anything.
Like,
where are those flowers from?
Yeah.
Oh, someone at work gave them out.
Uh-huh.
Right. What about the card?
Not necessarily that. Just the part where
the girls all exchange flowers.
Yeah.
You got a girl at work named Mark?
Yeah, she's wonderful. You just kind of start either.
So Wayne is an interesting name for a girl.
You're going a step beyond where I'm going.
Right.
Like it's not obvious.
Right.
It's just enough. Like that's weird. You really don't care.
Right.
Like at all.
Right.
Huh.
Don't get me a card. Really? No, don't get me a card at all. Well, I was going to get you a card. No,
nope,
no need to.
I don't want you to do that.
I'll still take that angle. There's a lot less pressure because whatever you do this year, you got to do better than that.
Right.
You only got me 12 roses and 4 chocolates and 4 coffee gift cards this year. Last year, you got me
13. Right. I get it. I get it. I
think the less nagging.
I don't know, man.
I think the less nagging in all of our lives.
I feel
the less nagging, the better.
I feel like you're gonna.
Every holiday, my kids and my wife say to me, "What do you want?"
Right.
And I always say the same thing.
I don't care. Right.
Nothing.
100%. I don't care at all.
Give me anything.
But you have to pretend to care enough to keep up appearances, right? Like you have
Sure.
You have to put in just. I realized on Monday I hadn't gotten anything for my kids to give for my wife, so I stopped by the old pharmacy, picked up something, and I got it. We had a nice night out. We had dinner, and I got her flowers and this thing you're supposed to do.
We had a rotisserie chicken.
I bet it was good though. I got to be honest with you. I'll never be mad at a rotisserie.
We had a rotisserie chicken.
A grocery store
and
rotisserie
peas.
chicken.
And peas.
Never be.
Get some color in you there. We got some peas and rotisserie chicken.
All right. What you're doing the golf show on Sunday, and then you're doing
12 to 1 on Sunday and 6 to 9 Monday night. I have no idea what I'm going to do then.
Yeah, you're not going to pay attention like the NBA All-Star game. So
when is that?
It's Sunday.
No thanks.
The Daytona 500. You're going to watch that? No.
Well, I'll watch the last. I'll watch the last 10 laps of that. A race live.
100%. I've been to multiple.
It's unbelievable.
It's not.
Oh, you're insane.
I swear to God. So when I
went to a NSCAR race and you didn't leave there and say
when I was on,
those guys are the greatest.
When I was on Ed's show, we had Liz Drabeck on the show as well.
Okay, and she's
she's
NASCAR
a huge
junkie,
NASCAR
right?
person. So she wanted me to go to the race at Dover, and we had to go do the show from Ocean City on like Memorial Day or something like that. And whatever it was, the day after the race at Dover, we were doing the show from Ocean City. So I said, all right, well, I'll go. And we walked in, and we looked around, and by the third lap, everybody was drunk and passed out. There was no atmosphere at all. Literally, I'm not kidding. The entire section around me was asleep.
Well,
because it was 1,000 degrees outside and they were all hammered drunk.
I've never seen anything like it. I went to Dover 2 or 3 times. I was astounded by it.
Well, I'll be rooting. I'm rooting for Chase Briscoe because I'm friends with his crew chief. But
I was
outside of that,
how
not going to happen.
I was astounded by the speed of it and the power of it.
All right,
and the girls.
And just chicks everywhere. Right. That's the way that it goes. All right, at It's a Hooded Foreign on Twitter, DrewsMorningDish.com. Appreciate you, pal.
So, Juju, question for you. What's up with all the fouls there, bruh?
Stop. Would you stop? Juju Reese, Maryland basketball's got a huge game tomorrow night against Purdue.
Oh.
He joins. What? Oh, you think it's their time?
No.
I got to go. We got things to do. Oh, you're going?
Of course.
Oh. I know
it's a home game.
You're a number one fan now.
I'm going.
It's a weird bit. Juju Reese next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Luke Jackson profiles Orioles phenom Gunnar Henderson, breaking down how he was able to become the top prospect in baseball at such a young age and what could be next in his first full MLB season. Also inside, we meet lacrosse players from the men's and women's college programs across the state, and Bo Smoka breaks down another year of wide receiver issues for the Ravens. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at over $60,000 and over $64,000 for lateral officers, with $10,000 signing bonuses available. Plus, cadets start at over $32,000. Great benefits are available, like medical, dental, and vision insurance, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days per calendar year with no limit, career advancement to more than 20 specialized units, and more, with further incentives for military service members and veterans. A passion for service, a career for life with the Baltimore County Police Department. Find out more at joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. Must be a United States citizen, have a valid driver's license, and a high school diploma or GED equivalent.
If you miss anything on the show, don't forget that you can watch full episodes at youtube.com/pressboxonline, and you can download podcasts on Apple, iTunes, Amazon, and Grindr. Wait, did I say Grindr? I don't think that you would find it on Grindr. Not that I know what's on Grindr or anything, I swear. On second thought, you know what? I don't care what you think. Here's Glenn.
Bet $5 with DraftKings. Instantly get $200 in bonus bets for this weekend's big games like the NBA All-Star Game or the Daytona 500. Get this and other great sportsbook promos and specials at PressBoxOnline.com/offers. It's PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Had to do this a little bit earlier on because of their schedule, practice, but an opportunity to catch up with Baltimore's own Juju Reese right here on GCR. Well, it's a great time to welcome back to the show a Maryland Terrapin big, who, of course, is also the pride of St. Francis here in Baltimore. They're getting ready for a huge game tomorrow night in College Park against Purdue. He is Juju Reese, and he's back with us now here on the program. Juju, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to catch up, man. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's good to chat with you, dude. I want to go back if I could. I remember when Kevin Willard was hired at Maryland, your mom was at the press conference, and she shared out a tweet about the relationship that your family has had with him for a few years. Could you tell me a little bit about that? And as you decided to stick around and come back for another year at Maryland, how important that was, that relationship you already had, and how much maybe that's continued to develop throughout the course of the year?
It was definitely important, Coach Willard recruited me up to see when he was there. And then I feel like it just came in full circle, I believed in his coaching ability when he was there. I liked him as a coach there. And I feel like we've grown a great relationship now. He's put a lot of trust in me, being only a sophomore, and I just take advantage of that so far.
That's awesome. Obviously you guys, there weren't a ton of expectations for this team, right, with the first-year head coach and a program that looked like it was in transition. Did you guys always know that you were going to be maybe a little bit better than perhaps people on the outside were giving you credit for? Did you have an amount of confidence coming into this year that you guys were capable of competing with the best teams in the league?
Yeah, definitely. Not only as a team, but before even when the coach when they came, me and the guys like Dante, Keem, we kind of knew what was going to happen. He was a good coach, And I feel like we just stayed together and took that winning on to the next guys that came in here and taught them. I feel like that's just the recipe for the success we have right now. And I feel like the sky's the limit. We're going to keep getting better.
No doubt. Particularly, what is it about you guys playing at home this season, man? Like, what in the world? It's like you're unbeatable, obviously, other than the UCLA game, which I know wasn't great. But, like, what is it about the crowd, the atmosphere? What is it that's made it so that nobody has been able to have much in the world of success when they come to College Park?
Yeah, it's definitely the fans. It definitely got to be the fans that here. When we're away, it's kind of hard to like communicate stuff, doing on court, but home is quiet on offense. We're on our side on defense, so like it's kind of easier to go home and like just the energy, the overall vibe we get at home, like it's more comfortable, I guess. I definitely feel more comfortable playing in front of our crowd.
It makes sense, right? Like it's nice to have that kind of support behind you, and it is paid off big time this season. Julian Reese is with us here on GCR. Maryland, Purdue tomorrow night in College Park. Juju, the thing that jumps out to me about you this season, it seems like you've kind of picked like the biggest matchups for your best games, right? Like the double-double against Trace Jackson-Davis, a huge game the first time around against Zach Edey. Is there something about you that like you just sort of get geared up when you know you're going up against someone that everybody in the country is talking about as being one of the best big men in the league?
Yeah, I try to use that as motivation. Playing against those guys that everybody talks about, guys like Hunter, Zach, Trace, guys like them. I just try to go at them, try to get my name in that conversation, and I feel like I've been doing it so far. I just built a name of myself.
No doubt about it. As you get ready for facing Purdue again, do you fall back on the success that you had? I know like you guys wanted to win that game, and it's disappointing, but you held them to a season low in points, and battled back and were right in that game at the end. Do you fall back on that and say, hey, we think we can recreate this, or do you have to approach it as it's a completely different game? We can't assume that everything's going to be the same as it was when we played them on the road.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Coming home is definitely different, but at the same time, like we're it's like the same. It could be the same outcome. We win the game, we lose the game, but I feel like we're a better team, like a way better team from back then. I'm not sure how long ago that game was, but we definitely changed a lot of the team, matured a lot of the team, and grow as a team. I feel like we can get it done this time.
Where does the defensive intensity come from? Not just for you, but for everybody on this team. Like this team is so wholly bought in and selling out defensively. Like where has that come from this season that you guys have just said, we're going to make your lives hell every time you're on the floor?
Yeah, it's definitely the principles that the new coaching staff brought in. The new principles of getting after guys and like kind of coming out strong. I stay at home after we score. We hear the crowd go crazy. We get into our press, and I feel like that messes up. And Coach once said the best thing about basketball is you can get it right back after you mess up. Like you can say you miss a layup, you can turn right back around on defense. So they're doing like football. Like the quarterback throws an interception, the camera's on him. We gotta wait all the way till you get back on offense. Like I felt them on that, and I tried to play my game around that, and we've been doing good with that, especially at home.
It's been awesome. It's been awesome to see. You guys, game in, game out, have been up to the task defensively. It's been incredible to see it. Okay, so the now you guys, your sister being apart this year, what's that been like? How much have you been staying in contact? Have you been able to watch games? Like, what's that dynamic been like since she's been down at LSU?
It's been pretty good. She's doing really good down there.
Yeah.
So it's pretty easy. Yeah, she's really comfortable down there. That's really all that matters. She came down here for the Towson game. I just recently went up there I went to South Carolina for the LSU game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I feel like it's all good. It's gonna be we'll be all right.
So we know she made some headlines for talking about trash talk, and it made me think, like, growing up, who was the bigger trash talker between the two of you? Like, when you guys, would get competitive in any way, which of the two of you was the bit better trash talker?
It was definitely me. Try to get under a little bit.
Did she learn some of that from you over the years? Like, do you feel like you helped improve her trash talking game?
Yeah, definitely. She definitely got that spice for me. Like that spiciness definitely for me.
That's awesome. I love that so much. Just another minute or two with Julian Reese, Juju, of course, here on GCR. Juju, the excitement that everybody's feeling about this program, can you tell me about how contagious that is and, like, how much you guys are thinking about it? I was talking about this the other day. I don't know if you're going to end up winning a national championship or making a Final Four, but it feels like you're laying the foundation. And maybe, I hope you will, of course. I want to make that abundantly clear. But it feels like you're laying the foundation for the future of Maryland basketball and turning the program around. Is that something you guys have talked about? Have you felt any of that? And does it mean something to you to be a part of, like, changing the trajectory of Maryland basketball?
Yeah, as far as this season, I feel like we're not really talking about anything like for now. I feel like we're gonna of course do our best. We're gonna try to achieve whatever we can achieve. But I definitely thought to myself, like the sailor for the team and for this program. I feel like it's nothing great coming. We got we started recruiting a lot of guys.
Yeah.
We got a couple from around here. Got John. I just played with him in high school.
St. Francis, yeah.
Yeah, the chemistry will be there. We got some young guys on the team right now. I feel like I can carry on that tradition with the new guys and just bring that winning attitude and keep on doing that for the next 2 years.
Have you are you regularly in touch with? You bring up John Lamoth, of course. Like, are you regularly in touch with him? And I don't know what your decision's going to end up being, but how exciting would it be for you to have that opportunity to play with him again next season?
It'll be great opportunity. I like playing with John. A very selfish guard, likes to pass the ball, likes to shoot a lot of threes, just likes to get everybody involved. And is a great team player, great attitude. I feel like that's what the team needs. We got other guys like Deshaun, we got Jamie, we got a lot of other guys too. And I feel like we're going to be good next year. I ain't gonna lie.
I mean, I think there's a real opportunity, bro. Like, I think I don't know, do you find yourself, like, saying something to Jameer, like, hey, bro, take that 5th year. Like, let's do this, man.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely said that a couple of times, yeah.
Like, man, yo, you got a chance to do something. And I don't want to take anything away from what you could do this year. I really hope that it doesn't come off that way. But, dude, I totally understand what you're saying. Like, it feels like there could be something really special cooking. Juju, it's great to catch up, man. Let's remind everybody, where can they give you a follow? Twitter, Instagram, anywhere like that?
On Instagram is shifty_Jew.
Yep. Give him a follow there. Go ahead.
Yeah, on Twitter, Reese10Julian, and that's it.
There you go. Give him a follow in those spots. Hey, man, it's been so much fun watching you guys play this season. We can't wait for tomorrow night and a huge matchup. Opportunity to show the entire country what it is that Maryland basketball is all about. Juju, congratulations on a great season. Can't wait to see what's next. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Julian Reese, of course, Juju with us here on GCR. Appreciate him taking the time for us tomorrow. And everybody else in the room is going, it's so funny, right? Like, from what you thought, Drew, once upon a time, like, you're the guy wearing the turtle costume. Everybody else in the room is going to the game tomorrow night.
I'm wearing it now.
Yeah, right.
I borrowed it from you. It stinks, but I'm wearing it.
Drew decided right around the time where they stopped being good that he was going to become a huge fan.
Going down to see my Terps tomorrow night.
Drew, and now Griffin, who doesn't realize. Griffin was like, just roll
I'll leave here. But that was game 6:30.
I'll
leave here at 5:15. I'm like, you'll get there with about 8 minutes left in the game.
100%. You better leave at 2 tomorrow in order to get down there in time. 6:30 tip-off.
Are we favored? We're not favored, are we?
Not favored, I don't think, but we should look at that. I'm going to guess it's a
2.5.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I haven't looked at it yet, and I assume that it's up.
Taking our Terps in that one.
Our Terps. You're going all in. You're going. What happened?
State school.
Who was it in your life that was important to you that you had to become a Maryland guy? Like, what led us to this point?
You can have this sponsorship, but
I know that's what it was. Somebody offered to give you a deal, but they were like
NIL.
It's what it is.
I said, "Oh, like Maryland, you got to sign up for $30,000."
DrewsMinute@morningdish.com. Like there has to be a story. There's no way.
Just a late life epiphany.
It's so weird.
All right,
It's
I gotta
so
go.
Weird.
We'll see
All
you.
right, buddy. There's Drew Forrester, DrewsMorningDish.com. I don't see it up on. It's not up on FanDuel yet. So I don't know what they're waiting for, but. No line yet. I assume it'll be a very narrow favor.
I do realize it's time to delete my picture, right?
I already deleted it.
Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, it just popped up in the notifications. My mom liked it.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, there's nothing pinned. It's deleted. It's gone. There is no. I took care of it. All right, we continue on a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Today's show also, or just a reminder that gambling can be fun, but you should set a limit and stay within it. And remember that if you or a loved one has a gambling problem, you can call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org for free confidential services. We'll switch gears this morning. This weekend, college baseball season gets underway, and after a historic season a year ago, the University of Maryland will look to build off of that this year and make an even deeper run towards the College World Series. Joining us now, he is the head coach of the Terps, Coach Rob Vaughn, and he is back with us on GCR. Coach, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's always great to catch up with you. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
Heck yeah, Glenn, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely, dude. Can we just start, how long? I know that you're a coach and your job is to think about the next thing. But when it goes like that at the end of the year, how long does it take for you to be able to, pick up and move on and not think about it on a day-to-day basis the way that quite a number of Maryland fans have still not stopped thinking about it on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, I'm not sure if I can say, Glenn. I'm not sure if I can say about 12 months, but we're still trying to get past some of that. No, it's it's so funny. It's to your point. It's kind of on to the next thing. You finish up and they're in June, and then you have 2 weeks, and then you got to get on the road and go start kind of filling your team for next year. Figuring out kind of where you need to get better in the short term, and figuring out where you need to kind of grow long term with some of your 24, 25, 26 classes. So. Man, not a lot of time to suck your thumb and dwell on it. You got to pick up the pieces, figure out what you need to do to go get back there and push through this thing this year.
All right. On behalf of myself and Bubba Aline, it's still bull ass and I'm not over it. I'll calm down a little bit.
Oh, hell yeah. No, Bubba's the man.
Oh,
Goodness
dude,
gracious. That was a rough way to finish it.
No doubt, man. Coach, that being said, as we move towards this year, can you talk me through? And I know that Maryland baseball, when you arrived, there was a standard that had been set. But to take a next step, to host a regional, as disappointed as you might have been, the pride that you had in knowing that there has been an elevation now of the Maryland baseball program, and there is a trajectory to do even greater things.
Oh, there's no doubt. I think that's something, when I came here in the summer of 2012 as an assistant, truth be told, I didn't know much difference between Maryland and Maine at that point. I was from Texas originally, and it was, hey, I'm going to go to the East Coast and figure out how we're going to be good at baseball. And I got out here, and after about 5 years here, it was very clear that I had this vision of what we could do, and I thought we could do some really special things and some really cool things. And, we went to work on that, and building classes and building the culture the way we wanted it. And I feel like, 5 years later, we kind of reaped the rewards of that last June, and getting to do some pretty special things there was a lot of fun. It was great. And I think that's our job, though, is to kind of transform this place. I think that's where Maryland baseball should be, in the national spotlight and in the national media attention. And, we got to now kind of transform from being that team that did that one cool thing that one year to the team that kind of leads from the front. And I think we got a team that can do that this year. A lot of mature kids, mature players, and, man, fired up to get going with them on Friday.
He is Maryland baseball coach Rob Vaughn. He's with us here on GCR. Coach, to your point, obviously, you lose Bubba, you lose Max, you lose, Troy Scheffler, you lose – but, you bring back so much. And I know that there's, no guarantee that it all works out the exact same way, but – I got to imagine the excitement for you, as much as there's excitement on the outside, the excitement for you has got to be even more significant for how much you have for this team coming into the season.
Oh, there's no doubt. And, I think we have the luxury right now that, our best players are also our best leaders. And I think that's not the way it always goes. Sometimes your leader's that guy hitting eighth that's scratching and clawing, but kind of leading from that side. And, we're led by our best players, Matt Shaw, Jason Savacool, Luke Schliger. Those are the guys leading the charge for us and are also having to be our best players. So you're exactly right. I think we got a lot coming back. I think it's been one of those teams where it's been a very player-run team from the jump this year. You know, it kind of transformed to that in the spring last year. The players really kind of took control and started really leading in that direction, which was great to see. And I think they picked up where they left off. And, you know, you have a guy, Nick LaRusso, who that dude should be hitting in AA somewhere. And instead he's back for his final season with us and it looks great. So, man, a lot to look forward to, a lot of excitement with our returners as we kind of get rolling here.
You bring up Jason Savicool. I think everybody knows about Nick Dean as well. If there's a question, is it like the pitching behind those two guys? Like, where's your confidence level? How do things shake out? I mean, obviously, when you've got a Friday starter, when you've got your first 2 days taken care of, that's a good problem to have. But how much of that is still something you got to figure out about this team is how the pitching sort of sorts out after those two guys?
No doubt. I think our assistants, my assistants did a great job of really going to work and kind of fortifying some areas that we were a little bit thin in last year, you know, and I'll say as we go into this year, I feel really good about the arms behind them. Now it's just a matter of doing it in a game. You know, I've seen them do it in practice. I've seen them doing it in scrimmages. I've seen them do it in fall games that, you know, don't count towards your standings. Now it's a matter of us as a team going out and doing it when it matters, when somebody's keeping score and somebody's going through that. So, you know, I think we have a transfer from Ohio State, and Nate Haverthier, who we're going to run out there on Sunday.
Okay.
He's been a Friday, Saturday guy for Ohio State his whole career, and he comes in as a junior with a lot of experience. We have a superstar freshman in Kyle McCoy that is going to be the next wave of Jason Savicool and Nick Dean. So, man, I think there's some pieces in that bullpen and some depth that we did not have last year, which, you know, everybody in baseball knows if you're going to make a run in June, you got to have some depth in that bullpen.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, boy, you're trying to get innings anywhere, especially, unfortunately, if you lose a game early, right, in the course of the weekend. My God, you got to find a whole lot of innings to make it through. Coach, you bring up, obviously in your order, some of the knowns, of course, like Matt Shaw, Nick LaRusso you brought up, Bobby Smarzlak. There's a lot of knowns. It's a nice thing to have. Who is someone, as you look to replace some of the bats in your lineup, that maybe we didn't see as much last year, or a newcomer, one of the transfers, that you think is ready to have a big impact on this lineup this season?
You know, we actually have 3 transfers that are stepping in, one out of junior college and the other 2 kind of out of the transfer portal here that are going to make huge impact. You know, our starting center fielder, Elijah Lambros, spent his first year down at South Carolina and is back with us now and has been a really good breath of fresh air. I mean, an elite level defender that's been really good offensively. You know, we have the NEC Player of the Year and Matt Woods from Bryant comes in and for his grad year to play right. And honestly, a guy that I'm probably most fired up about that's maybe the most under-the-radar guy is a guy named Eddie Hakopian. Eddie's the son of kind of a former Terp legend, Derek Hakopian. He won the Triple Crown here back in the ACC in 1992, but big-time hitter. His son, Eddie, is with us now. Eddie went to Cypress out in JUCO for 2 years out in California and turned himself into a really good player and came in and is going to hit in 4, 5, 6, somewhere in the middle of our order right there. But it's just, he's our type of guy, man. He's like a Maryland player. He's gritty. He's tough. He gets it done. He's a baseball rat. He's going to be a fun guy for a lot of people to watch this year.
I can't wait. I love that. Of course, Maryland gets the season underway this weekend on the road at South Florida, and then they'll be home next Tuesday against West Virginia. Coach Rob Vaughn is with us here on GCR. Coach, I love that line, you know, that you can't just be a program that did something cool once upon a time. How much do you – the macro and the micro with your players, right? The micro is you got games to go play this weekend, right? And you want to start setting yourself up now for hosting in the NCAA tournament. The macro being, you know, there's a real belief in what you guys are capable of doing and breaking through and making that deep run. How do you handle those two things, like knowing that's the goal for this team, wanting to accomplish it versus, hey, we can't get carried away in that and forget that, like, nothing is a gimme here at the start of the season.
Oh, there's no doubt, and that's the thing that makes college baseball beautiful. You know, I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan. My wife's a Kansas girl, so I'm watching the game on Sunday.
Must be nice. Must be nice.
So I'm watching Jerry McKinnon slide down at the 1 yard line and run the clock out. And I told my wife, I was like, I'm glad that's happening because I want no part of Jalen Hurts having the ball at the end of the game.
No doubt.
But that's what makes baseball beautiful is you can't run the clock out. You got to get us out 27 times. We got to get them out 27 times. And I think what that does in college baseball is bring a ton of parity to the sport. And there's no days that you just roll it out there. Hey, we've got a lot of experience. We've got a lot of returners. We've got 3 preseason All-Americans. We're ranked 13. Like, that means nothing when you toe the rubber and start things on Friday night. Nobody cares. And so it's really about showing up, and we refer to it as a neutral mindset. You know, the past is the past, good or bad, and the past has no bearing on the future unless we let it. We talk about that stuff all the time with our players, and I think they've done a really good job of being extremely mature and really showing up to ring the bell every day. That's one thing last year's team did really well is, you know, we got throttled a couple times. We lost at Illinois 19-1 on Friday night, and that's usually not a good recipe for the rest of the weekend. And then we go and sweep a doubleheader the next day and leave there with a series win, which was really kind of not a turning point, but just a really defining point of our season last year. And I think that's what that comes from is those guys, they're not worried about yesterday, good or bad. They're stepping into today and trying to do their job today. And last year's group did an outstanding job of that. Everything I've seen, I've been, you know, talking to them about, you know, we play Ole Miss week 2, and there's a ton of people excited about it. It's like, boy, South Florida was in a super 2 years ago. Like, this is a good team. We've got to go down there and be good. We can't be looking forward to going to Oxford week 2. And Matt Shaw looked at me, he's like, Coach, I'll be honest, we just want to go play baseball against whoever lines up on the other side. And I think that's what makes them good is that steadiness every day.
That's perfect. I mean, that's a perfect mentality, right? Like, you can't really ask for a whole lot more than that.
No doubt.
I have to ask you, how the hell do you manage to keep Matt Swope around? Like, the dude is thought of I can't believe he hasn't gotten a job somewhere. Every time I talk to any player, not even the guys that played for him, but they just rave about how much he has done for them. How do you manage to keep him from getting pried away by somebody else?
That guy has more pride in this place than any human on the planet, and that's the only reason, because that guy's had an opportunity to go. He's had some head coaching opportunities. He's had major league teams calling, inquiring about, you know, talking to him to be a big league hitting coach, and a lot of these things that most people would be drooling over. And every time he calls me, he fills me, and every time he's like, look, hey, I just want to let you know I talked to X and X person. And I was like, Matty, you know me. I've always said you got to do what's best for you and your family. If you feel like this is right, I'm going to support you. I'm going to do whatever I can to help you get it. And every time he's like, no, I want no part of that. I'm like,
man.
Okay, well, when you do, you let me know, because he's a superstar. He's great with the players. He's a great communicator. He's a passionate learner, and he is passionate about the University of Maryland being successful. And that's, frankly, the only reason he's still here with me is that guy is so bought in and so wants to see us kick that door down to Omaha and is invested in finding a way to help us do that.
What a blessing, man. What a freaking blessing for your program. And I'm telling you, every time I talk to anybody, they just – and not to take anything away from you, Coach. I want to make that abundantly clear.
Sure. No. Believe me, I get the credit when things are good and bad, but at the end of the day, my assistant coach, man, those are the guys that are in the trenches. Those are the guys that are doing all the dirty work and spend countless hours out recruiting, countless hours on the phone. And shoot, no, you don't have to justify that to me. I'm good because I've got 3 assistants that are absolutely elite at what they do.
It's a blessing. There's no doubt about it. It proves that the proof is in the pudding with the success that you've had. If I could, I know a lot was made when you guys hosted the regional, right? You had to bring in the stands for the outfield and amp things up. Did something like last year do anything else for the program to like allow you guys to start seeing a vision for, you know, upgrades facility-wise, something like that? Does having that type of success, sustaining that type of success, start to pay off in ways beyond just, as we point out, hey, it's a cool thing, it was an electric weekend, something like that?
No doubt. I think you're definitely seeing that. And I think what it showed our administration, what it showed, you know, our athletic director, Damon Evans, is like, man, what's capable here? What are we capable of doing here? And I remember when we were having conversations, I think, you know, there was some doubt around like how many people were going to show up. Did we need to bring in bleachers? What did we need to do? And, you know, we fought to really do it the right way. And so I said, you know, these kids are doing something done that's the first time it's ever been done in the history of the school. We need to roll out and do whatever we can do to reward them for that. And credit to them, they stepped up. They brought in the outfield bleachers, and we sold out the Friday night game in like 15 minutes. And then, you know, as we're rolling through the regional, every single game we played in was a sellout. And I think that showed them like, holy cow, like baseball is not just a typical kind of Olympic sport where it's like, oh, yeah, it's kind of cool. There's 200 people come to the games. We had 3,000 people out here, and it was unbelievable. And so as you've seen, they've already started doing some stuff in the short term. We've got new lights. They did new padding on the wall. And then, Damon and Dr. Pines, the president of our university, came out and said they're basically building our new indoor facility this summer. So tearing down the existing one and building a new one and starting construction on that this summer. So, I think we're in such a microwave world where it's like, hey, we had a good year. We want to be in a $30 million stadium next year. And that's just not, unfortunately, the way it works sometimes. But we're taking steps, and they're continuing to invest in making the student-athlete experience here everything that we want it to be. So, that's what I tell Damon all the time. I was like, Damon, I'm going to do my job, and then you can do your job. When I do my job well, it makes it a heck of a lot easier for you to do yours. And so they're supporting us here in the short term with eyes towards long-term stuff of continuing to build that product here in College Park.
Before I let you go, I got to bring it back to Baltimore for a second. Are there any more Costases in the pipeline that could be coming in future years? Like, is there any chance that...
If they are, I'll take them.
Yeah,
I'll just tell you that if there's any rolling around out there, I'll take them.
God.
But unfortunately, I don't think there's another one coming. But shoot, we had about a pretty good seven-year run of Costas there for a while, and that was a heck of a lot of fun.
And what good guys they are, by the way. What tremendous people as well. That make
I couldn't be more excited. I mean, we're going to see Marty play in the big leagues here pretty soon, and then you look at Max and him getting a chance to play for the team he grew up rooting for and watching in the Orioles is awesome. And to see him advance through that organization, it's going to be fun to follow here. So, no, there's unbelievable people, great family, and just a blessing to have coached that family for 7 years.
And then I just want to thank you for continuing to schedule games up this way. I brought my kids out to Towson last year when you guys played up here. And I'm not saying that we won't come down to College Park. I want to make that clear. But, it's really nice that we were able to do that. I know you're back up at UMBC this year. I greatly appreciate that you've prioritized, playing games in the state, getting up this way, and touching other parts of the state of Maryland, because it's a great thing for everybody in this community. So I know that's not a question as much as hey, I appreciate it, and I'll end up bringing my kids out again. But it really does. It's significant for us that you create those opportunities for the rest of the state to touch Maryland baseball.
No, that's awesome. I appreciate that. It is. I've learned very quickly in my 11 years here how much pride the people of this state take in this being the flagship university. And that's what we want to do, man. We want to be a great representative for alumni, for everybody that calls Maryland home. We want them to be able to look at our program and be like, those are our people, like those are our kind of guys, and they do it the right way. So we're working to put that product on the field and continue building that.
Coach, we can't wait to see what you guys do this season. We will be in touch. That's a promise. Look forward to it. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us here to start the year. All right.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
It's Rob Vaughn, Maryland baseball coach, with us here on GCR. Again, their season gets underway on Friday with lofty expectations. Lofty expectations for Maryland baseball. I don't want to get carried away. It's the beginning of the season, and who knows what could happen and all that, but there is a lot of excitement about what could be possible. Ranked number 13 in the country to start the year. We're right there in the thick of things a year ago, hosting a regional. Probably could have gotten through it had it not been for an unbelievably horse. You think Eagles fans have reason to complain? That was a good call. God, never get over that. Yes, he was running inside the base path. That is true, but the rule says the throw has to be on target. The throw. That's why you're supposed to throw at the runner in that situation, right? So that you can show he was in the base path. The throw was nowhere close. Not over it yet. I don't know if I'll ever be over it. But excited about Maryland baseball. They look like they're going to be really good. All right, when we come back in, we will give our answers for Would You Rather Wednesday. We'll get a tidbit, and we'll get Tubular to wrap things up for a Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
There's something for everyone this February at Laurel Park. Come watch live horse racing every Friday through Sunday and join us on Saturday, February 18th for the Winter Stakes Spectacular featuring 6 stakes races and $900,000 in purses, including the General George and Barbara Fritchie Stakes. The fun doesn't stop there. Stick around for our Winter Mardi Gras celebration with live music, delicious food and drinks, and a carnival atmosphere. Plus, don't miss out on President's Day holiday racing on Monday, February 20th. Visit laurelpark.com for more info. That's laurelpark.com for more. See you at the track.
Another Orioles season is in the books, and the Bat-Around was there every step of the way as the Birds posted their first winning season in 6 years. And after promoting 2 #1 overall prospects in Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, Mike Elias has said it's liftoff from here. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, and along with my co-host Zach Goodman, we'll be here every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon all off season, discussing every signing, trade, and waiver claim as we navigate the cold winter months that lead to spring training. You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or listen live at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. And if you miss a show, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. So tune into the Bat-Around with Paul Valley and Zach Goodman every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn, over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
If you need more of Glenn, you can also hear him every Sunday with Rita on 105.7 The Fan. But also, if you need more of Glenn, what's wrong with you?
All right, back in here on GCR as we wind down for a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program. Stan the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley had a great chat with Aberdeen Ironbirds general manager Jack Graham. If you missed it, you can find it at Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. And then coming up tomorrow, Stan and Gary Stein are going to preview the CIAA tournament. Commissioner Jackie McWilliams will join them. Al Hutchinson from Visit Baltimore, unveiling a new arena, huge event back in Baltimore for a second year, the CIAA tournament, and they will preview it again at Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. I'm trying to think if there was anything that, like, because we were so Todd Monken obsessed, we didn't really cover. Finally, all the coaching vacancies are filled. Yeah. Shane Steichen, of course, got the Colts job, and then Jonathan Gannon, the Eagles defensive coordinator. The price to pay for losing, right? Yeah. Like, you lose the Super Bowl, you got to lose both your coordinators. Jonathan Gannon will be the Cardinals head coach. So all the coaching vacancies have been filled.
Interesting that the Cardinals go defense, I guess.
Yeah, I guess they were. The thought was they had zeroed in on Lou Amorano. Is that his name in Cincinnati? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know this. That had been the kind of common thought that that was going to be their guy.
Anarumo.
Yes. But yeah, they do end up going defense. They go with Jonathan Gannon. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that either.
Well, Anarumo was a defensive guy too. So.
Oh, they're both. I thought Anarumo was their offense coordinator. He's their defense coordinator. Oh, wow. They were very zeroed in on defense, apparently. Huh.
So
all right.
so there's
goes
still
to show what I know. This is NFL expert over here.
I mean, so they're still essentially like going to be searching for an OC, like somebody that has to work with Kyler. Like,
is Eric Bieniemy, right?
Oh, yeah,
is that
the lateral move that he makes?
Is that the answer to the question that he decided that Arizona was the spot for him or something? I'm so confused by the Eric Bieniemy. Like, all day I was going back and forth with people yesterday, right? Like, about this topic because of that silly tweet that I put up. And I kept saying, like, there could be an answer here. The answer could be that, like, the Chiefs, that Andy Reid said to Eric Bieniemy at some point, like, I'm going to do this one more time. We're going to roll it back next year, try one more time, because it's hard to go back-to-back. And going back-to-back separates you and elevates you. I want to see if we can't do that. But if we can't, I'm done. Like, I'm ready to go. And so stick it out here because you'll be the guy. You'll get your chance here. So just stick it out for one more year. That's better than going somewhere else to be an offensive coordinator. Like, there is some scenario by which again, the Ravens just thought they had two really good candidates, and it took them a long time to make their own decision. They just didn't make the decision until Monday, right? Like, that they really they loved Eric Bieniemy. They loved Todd Monken, and they really struggled with it. It was pointed out to me that, like, I guess they got together last week in Jupiter, so it might very well be that they made the decision last week and just wanted to wait until after the Super Bowl to make the announcement. A lot of times the NFL would prefer you to not let there be other big news during the course of the week. Hey,
tell it to Tom Brady.
Yeah, right? What a jerk. Selfish. Oh, there
2 years now.
What
he
day?
He did it the week.
That's what I was going to say. And I think that it's not the NFL did not make an edict, but typically teams try to get it out of the way the week before the Super Bowl, that week of the Pro Bowl, like whatever big news there's going to be, out of respect to what the NFL wants the Super Bowl to be. The NFL wants the Super Bowl to be the predominant conversation of that week. I think there were other teams that probably hired coordinators last week. I don't think it was like off the top of my head,
Nothing massive.
Yeah, I can't guarantee it. But yes, it's totally possible that this is as simple as the Ravens made their decision last week and just wanted to wait until the Super Bowl was over in order to announce it, right? There's plenty of simple answers that would have nothing to do with, like, Eric Bieniemy being the guy, but him giving them the ultimatum, are you definitely not trading Lamar Jackson? I'm telling you that. I'm not dealing in conspiracy theories. I'm saying there's a million things that could be the case. I would just like to know, because as neat as Todd Monken is, as I keep saying, there's only one real story that actually matters this offseason. That's the future of Lamar Jackson. And everything that we do, we're reading in, what does that mean for Lamar Jackson? That's the way that it goes. All right, let's get let's get our answers for Would You Rather Wednesday. That's what I wanted to do. Shut up. Let's do that. Wait, who do you think you are? That was my plan all along, you jerk. You're saying we have to wait till next week to get Ken's picture?
Ken says he's got a busy week.
Son of a bitch.
So
you better stay on him.
He's working on it. I guess you're right. He's probably working on his tan.
Yeah, you better.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, he's 100%. I'd be far more worried about that than like my flabbiness. You don't have to worry about that. You're good. Like, I would be far more worried about my pasty whites. Like, when I looked at the picture of me,
my thighs were a little.
Shut up.
A little white up there.
When I my wife, of course, took a picture of me doing the car wash last year, which I was furious about. But when I looked at it, it's not my body that concerned me. I know what my body looks like. It was my pasty ass, like, whiteness. Like, you had to put on sunglasses in order to look at me that day. It was hell. That was what was concerning for me. All right, would you rather, number one, the Ravens indeed make a reasonable cost trade for DeAndre Hopkins, let's just say a third, or they pay slightly more for Mike Evans and reunite him with Todd Monken, let's just say, for example, they pay a first, but they get a second back. And by the way, I came up with those numbers looking at the trade chart, which I know is not Bible. That's the difficult part about it, is that you're trying to come up with something. But trade chart for this year, this is according to DraftTech.com, trade chart would say that the Ravens' first-round pick is worth 780 points. A second-round pick would presumably net them somewhere in the neighborhood. Let's just say it's middle of the second round. And I probably should have said that mid-second round. Would net them 430 points back, so that'd be a trade-off of about 350 points that you'd be losing in the process. Meanwhile, their third-round pick is worth 160 points.
God.
So that's how I did that math. For what it's worth, even if they traded for the, let's just say the first pick of the second round, that would still be a difference of 190 points, so it'd still be more, but I was thinking more along the lines of like middle of the second round when I did that in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how it came across, since it's the Bucks that you're trading with.
I should have looked exactly what it was. Sorry, the Bucks. Yeah. The Bucks. No, they are the 50th pick. So exactly what I was doing. Yeah. Yes.
I lean Mike Evans because, I mean, he's a year younger. He's going into his 10th season. Hopkins is going into his 11th. I also just really like Mike Evans.
But you're pretending like a year is a significant
right,
difference.
Exactly, yeah. But if it means
It's
we
1
get,
year.
an extra, 8 games out of Mike Evans, whether that's, next season or the year after or whatever, I think Mike Evans, it is weird, like the way Drew was saying. It's like, I don't like DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not sure why, but I just don't love him. And that's kind of how I feel. And
doesn't really make sense.
Exactly, it doesn't make sense. But I do like the third-round pick. Giving up the third is much easier than giving up the first. But again, what are we going to take, a wide receiver at that spot? What I do hope is that if we make this exact trade for Mike Evans, we wait until the draft day, so that way we can kind of predict what we're going to take at 22.
Okay.
And it doesn't take the fun away out of mock drafting.
Yeah, it's very selfish, but I get it. Like, it really does take the sting out of the idea of, like, getting excited for the NFL draft. Like, but we're not doing anything.
Yeah. So
I guess at that point we probably wouldn't do a draft show. Oh,
right.
How funny it would be if, like, we say, well, wait, there's no reason to do a draft show, and then they trade back into the first round somehow. Like, they announced the Lamar trade that night.
Oh my
and, like, we're not on. That'd be really weird.
But yeah, so Mike Evans, I think he's better. I like him more than DeAndre Hopkins. However, much that is, but
I'm getting more Mike Evans than I'm getting DeAndre Hopkins. It's not unilateral. And again, I don't know why we're making it seem like the 1 year thing is.
Well, I did that tidbit a couple weeks ago talking about 30-year-old receivers and like how many were in the league this season.
But Mike Evans will also be 30 years old.
Yeah, but
like
this will be his age 30 season. So
I
he'll
understand
be productive. There's a chance DeAndre Hopkins, I guess, just falls off if this 30-year-old thing.
But if it's
is
30, then Mike Evans would also fall off.
Well, DeAndre Hopkins, I mean, he played half the season, but he was good when he played this season.
Okay. So now you're convinced that moves the target? Now it's 31 when somebody falls off?
Let me pull up that exact.
Let me go over the answers for this. Tim just says Evans. Andrew Stecca, Hopkins for me. Evans, I feel like, has a slightly worse injury history, so I'm not paying more for him. John Proctor, tough call with both having injury history recently. I'm taking the younger player, Evans, as I trust the front office to make most of the draft capital anyway for any position other than wide receiver. Brian says Hopkins. Gary says Hopkins. I swear to God, there is somebody there. It's somebody who I know, and like I love him, but he can't handle these things. Anyway, I don't care what the Ravens do. It is a game. Dave, love ya. You're a great guy. It's a game. You answer one way or the other. God. Josh Evans, Cliff. Please give me something besides just a word when you answer these questions. Don't just say D-Hop. I would appreciate if you'd be willing to give a thought. I always forget that I have to include that in the process. Like, we're trying to have a conversation. John from Little Rock, Evans all day. That would be electric here. Bondi, I'll take the first for Evans. Still same amount of picks and have a good wide receiver. Third for Hopkins is good, but we need the extra pick. I get it, but you'll be losing your first round pick, which is the most significant.
That first round pick is Mike Evans. So
I hear you. I just I don't think just getting an extra third round pick doesn't make the difference.
I just really want them to go get that X factor receiver. I mean, we saw AJ Brown. He makes
But I think
in the world.
By the way, this is the one that nobody's said yet, and I'll get there. It's weird to me that all of this conversation hasn't gotten to the point that I'm going to make. From Hickey. Interesting. Give me the guy who has had 1,000+ years a season every year of his career. That's, of course, Mike Evans. Tony, give me Mike in a second. Just running off analyst's opinion of the talent of this class. Might get even more value with a second rounder while adding a physical freak we haven't had here. Alex, Evans all day. Sean Hopkins, Evans is old and has been carried by Brady the last couple years. Well, if he's old, that part there's more of an argument for. The old part, if he's old, then what
is DeAndre
Hopkins? But he's been carried by Brady the last couple of years. I
think the argument might be Evans was carrying him.
I don't think it's either one.
Mike Evans has half the 3 touchdown games in Bucs history.
Nobody's pointing out the style part of this conversation, which is that from a style standpoint, this goes back to the conversation we were having about Keenan Allen and DeAndre Hopkins. While me personally, I prefer Mike Evans' style, isn't that more of what we think Rashad Bateman would be if he were healthy, whereas DeAndre Hopkins, if he's DeAndre Hopkins, is more of that, stretch the field type that the Ravens seem to be missing, even if they have Rashad Bateman. I think that's relevant. I like Mike Evans, the receiver, a lot, right? But if Rashad Bateman is healthy, I think he's closer. I'm not trying to say he is Mike Evans. That's quite the stretch. But I think he's closer to Mike Evans than he is DeAndre Hopkins. So that, to me, is relevant in this conversation. And being able to hold on to my first-round pick, of the two, I like Mike Evans more. I think for the Ravens, it actually the Hopkins deal would be the one that would make more sense to me. Number 2, would you rather? I got to deal with my guy Dave. I got to talk to him. Glenn, didn't Major League Baseball already state the commissioner's runner for extra? Yes, we're playing a game. Major League Baseball not only sticks with the extra innings rule, but they also bring it to the playoffs, or they get rid of it altogether. But regular season games. And what are you doing over there that's so important that you have to close the door? Huh? I don't know. What are you doing? Deal with it. You hired me. Deal with it. I'm gonna do performative stuff. Or they get rid of it, but regular season games end in ties after 12 innings.
I like the extra inning rule, so I don't have a problem with it.
It's the best rule in the history of baseball.
I don't have a problem with it. Ties, I guess that would bring an interesting aspect. You'd still be playing another 3 innings. Like, almost all these games would probably go to a tie. I guess not almost all of them, but there'd be a lot of games going to ties, and I think that'd be way more boring than having the extra inning rule and the game being over by the 10th, 11th inning every night.
I can't believe that anyone would ever sign up for a scenario that involves ties. I just can't believe that anybody would ever
I guess
sign
it would
up.
make the playoff situation maybe slightly more interesting because you'd probably go to a point system.
Presumably, yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's as I say, I can't believe anybody would sign up for ties. Here's Andrew Stecca. Make ties great again. I'm a soccer fan. Ties are fine. Tim, ties. Why is... God. Proctor, because he can't stomach the idea of the rule being in the playoffs, says ties. Ryan Gill, ties. What? Who is in love with ties? Josh, ties.
For outside of the game, the rule is not been implemented in the postseason.
No,
yet.
It will not be implemented in the postseason. They're going to continue.
At least yet, yeah.
And I don't think they ever will. I really don't think they ever will. I think that the point of the rule is because they don't want there to be 17-inning games because of the impact that it has roster-wise. Mm-hmm. I think in the playoffs they're always going to say, this is the way it goes, man. Like, you have to play baseball. You have to I would be stunned if they ever bring it into. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll look, I think it's the best rule that baseball's maybe ever come up with. I'm so in love with this rule, I don't have the words to explain it. And I thought I was going to hate it. Like, when they announced it, I was like, this is the dumbest gimmick ass that they could ever come up with. And then I saw it the first time, and I was like, oh, I'm in love. It's actual baseball.
Did you like the pictures going around of the new bases?
The bases? Yeah, it was wonderful. There was somebody in the comments, like whoever it was that they shared the cartoonishly sized base, then that said, and now here's the bases juxtaposed to Oracle Park in San Francisco, and put the stadium on top of the. Twitter is so stupid. God, it's so stupid. I love it. I love it so much. I can't believe you people are signing up for ties. All right, we got to fly because it's 12:22. Number 3, would you rather all of a sudden your partner is really obsessed with Valentine's Day or cares so little about Valentine's Day that you kind of have to wonder? You don't have a partner, so it's a little bit different, right?
I'd probably go with, doesn't care at all. Even though, it makes you, makes you wonder.
I'm telling you, if next year my wife didn't, was completely, I would have just assumed that she has a boyfriend. I would just assume. The moment that happened, I'd be like, now, for what it's worth, to Drew's point, I still think we have to think about that.
Yeah.
But at least I don't have to worry about Valentine's Day.
Go all out every year.
Look, it would suck. And it would. I think the real question you're asking yourself is: you rather be in a relationship with somebody who's that obsessed with Valentine's Day, or not be in a relationship?
Yeah.
And
it's not the game, Glenn.
And no, but that really is kind of what you're asking.
Yeah.
Like, you really are kind of asking. On the flip side, like if you're worried, then it could be because you're not going to be in a relationship any longer. And the truth be told, I'd rather just find a new relationship with someone who's not obsessed with Valentine's Day. So I do think that the other side of it might be the correct answer. And then number 4, we're getting Bojangles here in Baltimore. Would you rather the first Bojangles? Do you care about Bojangles? Does it mean anything to you?
No.
God,
I mean,
I can't even have these conversations for anybody.
I mean, I
Bojangles
know
is
it's good.
great. It's wonderful, is what it is.
Where's it open?
I don't know. They said in the press release, but I didn't look.
Okay.
Would you rather the first one be? So assume it's somebody that something that you care about deeply. Would you rather it be right down the street from your house, or more like 20 minutes away because you don't need the temptation?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go right next door, because I always thought about if there was a Chick-fil-A like right next to my house.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I mean, that would be
when I
great.
when I lived in White Marsh and did have a Chick-fil-A, not next to my house, but right down the street. It was the Chick-fil-A Nottingham Square. In fact, I was there every day.
I was always jealous of Liberty High School, because Chick-fil-A in Eldersburg is like
right there.
It's literally feet from the school, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
I mean, every day.
It's a problem. It's a genuine problem. All right, continue to get me your responses at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio. Somebody's winning a $25 gift card to Royal Farms. Tidbit is brought to you today by the new print issue of Press Box, which is available right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms. If you use that gift card that you win, you can go pick one of these up while you're there. Gunnar Henderson's on the cover, the number 1 prospect in all of baseball, Baltimore Orioles infielder, we assume. What are we assuming for Gunnar Henderson? I actually don't even know.
I think we're just assuming Hall of Famer.
Well, right, but he's got to play somewhere this year. What is there?
All over.
Is there a common
probably play
thought
some first
process?
base at some point? Well, I mean, hopefully Mountcastle.
Well, I don't think he's going to play first base, but
if we needed him to, we could.
I feel like for a little while, the assumption was that he plays
third
and Arias plays second. But Arias
was a good third baseman.
Was a damn good third baseman. So
then.
But you don't really want to, because Gunnar Henderson.
Are we just banking on the Mateo flaming out?
Yeah, and you just make Gunnar Henderson the shortstop. I genuinely don't know what the answer is.
Mateo would be a great 10th guy. So.
Or could you see if Mateo could play second base, right?
I
don't. Anyway, Gunnar Henderson.
I think it's good problems.
I agree that they're good problems to have, but I just realized I don't know that there's been a consensus to this yet, and that it's still something that maybe we're looking to find out about the guy that we're literally putting on the cover of Press Box this month. Go get it right now.
All right, so this is a tidbit actually. I know we haven't done one in a while, but
a little bit.
So someone on Monday night predicted had a correct score bet of the Cavs Spurs game. Cavs 117, Spurs 109 at 260 to 1. They put $2.61 on it, paid out $680. And the reason they did this is because of a Seinfeld episode from the early 90s, like 1991 or something.
Okay.
And there was I don't know what the context of it was, but I guess Jerry wrote down a bet or something, and some guy read it off, and he was like, Cleveland 117, San Antonio 109.
No.
And so that was the reason. That was the reasoning behind it, because Cleveland and San Antonio got together and played the game.
All right.
And it's actually not the first time since that episode aired. This is not the first time that Cleveland San Antonio has been 117.
That is wild, Jack. That is so wild.
So someone did the math. They've played 46 regular season games since that episode aired. So if they had put $2.61 on this bet at approximately 260 to 1 odds every single game they've played, all 46 times, they would still be up about $1,200, which is so. And for units, they'd be up nearly 500 units.
That is wild. That is. I have no idea what to say about that. It's just wild.
Yeah. The first time was 2019,
how about
4 years ago.
How about it?
And then I know we're running out of time.
We gotta go.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah, that can be
you don't have a trivia?
I mean, I do have one if you want to do it.
Is it quick or is it going to take me
quick?
forever?
It was so while you guys talking about the most losses in conference championships, there are 5 guys that have lost 4 times.
I'm hungry. Can we get a burger? Talk about 5 guys. 5 guys that have lost. How many times? They've lost 4
times
in the conference championship round.
Yes.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton has not lost 4 times.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers has indeed lost 4 conference championship games. Mahomes has only lost twice for.
Right, but he would have lost
would
a
have
third.
lost 3
was
times.
The point that Drew was making. Did Tom Brady didn't lose? Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady. Yeah. Tom Brady has 4 losses in the conference championship.
Was one of them with Tampa, or are they all with?
I believe.
In Tampa, they lost in the divisional round. They were all with New England.
Yeah,
so then he wouldn't have been the first guy to have lost 3 AFC champions, but might have been the first guy to lose 3 at home.
Yeah, I think that's what the stat was.
I don't know. Marino.
No, not Marino.
Roethlisberger.
Not Roethlisberger.
Flacco only lost 2.
Yeah, Flacco lost twice. Roethlisberger lost twice as well.
Eli Manning.
Not Eli Manning.
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre 3 times, not 4.
John Elway.
Not John Elway.
The problem is you have to be good enough to have been there, and that's what makes us very different. Donovan McNabb.
Yes, McNabb 4 times, 4 losses in the conference championship.
All right, it's 12:30. Tell me who the other
49ers quarterback.
Young.
Yes, Steve Young. Steve Young, Montana, lost 3 times.
Okay. And
then the other one, Ken Stabler.
It's always Ken Stabler. It's always Jim Plunkett. We had Jim Plunkett and Steve Young were regularly the answer to our questions for like years that I couldn't come up with. All right, very good. Thank you. Tubular is brought to you today by PressBoxOnline.com/offers. So many offers. Football season might be over, but there's still plenty of things to bet on, and there's still free money, free bets that are being given away. You got to make sure if you signed up for one, sign up for others. Go check it out right now, PressBoxOnline.com/offers. I just noticed you wore your Hopkins shirt after they lost last night. Or is that your DeAndre Hopkins shirt?
This is my Johns Hopkins Hospital.
Oh, hospital. Okay. All right. Unrelated. Here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. 3 local teams in action. Loyola hosts Lafayette, 7 o'clock. UMBC's at Albany at 7 o'clock. Navy's at Lehigh at 7 o'clock, all on ESPN+. Oh, Mount St. Mary's also at home. Oh, no, this is lacrosse, I see, this afternoon at 3 o'clock. Mount St. Mary's hosts Delaware, 3 o'clock. I should have written that it was lacrosse. I'm going to go do that right now. Big Ten hoops tonight. Minnesota, Michigan State at 7. Indiana, Northwestern at 9, both on Big Ten Network. Everything else, GlennClarkRadio.com for college hoops. Fox Sports 1, Daytona 500 qualifying tonight at 8 o'clock. ESPN Heat Nets 7:30. Pelicans Lakers at 10. TNT Blackhawks Maple Leafs at 7. Avalanche Wild at 9:30. CONCACAF U17 Championship, the U.S. and Canada at 8 o'clock on Fox Sports 2. Champions League continues, including on CBS, the big network this afternoon for Borussia Dortmund and Chelsea. Club Brugge and Benfica at 3 o'clock on Paramount+. TBS for AEW Dynamite at 8. Some non-sports highlights?
Yeah, a couple. Liam Neeson's going to be on Fallon tonight for some movie called Marlowe, which it's like a noir 1930s detective
You mean
thriller.
noir?
Yeah, noir.
Okay.
Whatever. Same thing.
A
You know what I
noir.
mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Sometimes my wife has to roll me over in the middle of the night because I'm noring.
Hulu's going to have a Wu-Tang, the final season of the Wu-Tang American Saga.
When? Today?
Yes, today.
No, S.
Yeah, first, or at least the first episode. Yeah.
My friend.
Yeah, first episode.
We're about to start watching it.
Okay.
Love that show. It's excellent.
Full Swing.
Everybody gets mad about the voice of the guy that does RZA. They're like, it's not right. I'm like, shut up. It's a great show.
Full Swing, the
PGA Tour
yes,
show.
the PGA Tour
on
show,
Netflix.
the Drive to Survive guys, the F1. So that's on Netflix, and then African Queens in Jenga series premiere. This is on Netflix as well. It's executively produced by Jada Pinkett, and they highlight.
Is that correct? Executively? Is that a correct, or is it just executive produced?
Executive produced.
I don't know. I'm not coming down on you. I don't know the
produced.
answer.
I feel like both work.
All right, we'll go with it. Why not?
Jada Pinkett produces that, and it looks pretty interesting. They highlight the lives and stories.
Quick, I want to hit play on the Wu-Tang.
And then a new episode of Bad Batch, of course, Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, you love that. All right, very good. Thanks today to Drew. Thanks to Juju Reese. Thanks to Eric Zeier. Some great insight on Todd Monken. Thanks to Maryland baseball coach Rob Vaughn. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh, my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. And now we tell you about our huge day tomorrow.
Stuff and Things.
Yeah,
Stuff
there
and
it is.
Things.
There we go. Try to get that sorted out.
Yeah.
Always the biggest way to capitalize on a great show. Man, we had a great show today, and then tomorrow, pitchers and catchers report.
I think that's, the Orioles at least today.
No, the Orioles, pitchers
Everyone-
and catchers tomorrow. Everybody else was today. The Orioles, pitchers.
Why is
but,
everybody
but
free?
people, I mean, this is like
Okay.
players report early. That's all it is. Because, yes, you're seeing pictures of Adley Rutschman and Grayson Rodriguez and company all report today. But technically, the reporting date for pitchers and catchers is tomorrow. All right. Thanks today to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Baltimore County Police Department, Problem Gambling, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Maryland Jockey Club, Grade 8's Memorabilia, Maryland Vascular Specialist, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Charles is putting up some good TikTok content. Maybe too much at the same time. Like, we might need to make it breathe, but I love it. I love that he's
One of them's got to hit.
Yeah, right? You keep swinging. Yeah. One of them's going to. No, I appreciate it. Charles is working very hard on that, and it's great. I love that. So follow us all of those places at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go UMBC, go Loyola, go Navy. Duke sucks.